It's Friday, April 17th, 2026. All right, let's start off. You know what? I'm not going to tell you to support the show. You shouldn't. Save your money. Everything's more expensive. Nothing fucking works. Don't pay for enough. Don't pay for the show. I'm in among the worst fucking moods of my life at this current moment when it comes to the external world. So fuck it. Don't give us anything. Save your money.
I'm so sorry, too, because I was just bitching to you.
Because it's all going to burn down soon.
I was just bitching to you about my shit for the last, 15 minutes.
No, we're fine. Bad. No, I'm talking about external stuff. Whatever, man. It's all fucking done. Everything's shit. Nothing fucking works. But nothing fucking works. And it's all going to be twice as expensive in a month. So don't bother. It's fine. Save your money. I'm serious. Fuck it all. I don't care. So it's fine.
I'm not quite there yet. I'm sorry that you're there.
I'm well the fuck past there. I shit you not. I've been like a storm cloud with legs for the last 72 hours.
What set you off, man?
It's just all of it. It's just all of it. It's just all of it, man.
Listen, it's not good. It's not good. I mean,
it hasn't been good.
No, and it's just every time you hear something, you're like, hey, they've put the pedophile in charge of rearing children today.
Yes. This is what it is, man. It's shit that people say, well, most people are inherently good. Fuck, they aren't. No, they're not. Stop telling me that. It's bullshit.
Okay. No. Most
you know what?
Hold on.
Are not good.
Let me flip that on you, though, a little bit, right?
Go ahead, because you ain't going to work.
No. Hold on. Hear my argument before you shoot me down. It's not that I think that people are inherently good, right? I think that people aren't inherently evil either. I think that to be...
I don't disagree with that.
I think to be maximally good and maximally evil both require a level of effort that most people do not want to apply. The reality is that most people are just kind of okay. You know, they're not going to go out of their way to set you on fire. And they might piss on you to put you out.
That's why it's doomed. Because most people are just now have tribalized to themselves and they don't give a fuck, which means nothing's going to get any better. It's just going to get worse. Because the people who are motivated are the bad people.
God, it's so hard to argue this against you because I do think that a lot of shit is fucked.
You can't! But you can't. The arc of history is shit. So it's done.
To have hope that some people will...
You know what I got? I got to get that George Carlin line where he says, fuck hope, because he was absolutely right. Fuck hope. It's pointless. Luckily, I'm not going to live forever. I got to outlast my dog and my wife. And then who gives a fuck?
Oh, God. I don't want to outlast my wife. I don't want to.
No, I do, because it would hurt. It would hurt her more if she's gone. Whereas I'll sit in the car in the garage with the engine running, and who cares?
Oh, God.
Just fall asleep.
You tonight. Come on. No,
man. This isn't tonight. Literally the other day, I was out walking, and it was this beautiful day, and I sat down on this bench. I'm looking around. The birds are tweeting. And it was nice. Sun's out, but it was a little overcast, so sun wasn't in my eyes. Temperature was good. Nothing to complain about. I feel fine.
And you were like, fuck the world.
I could have a massive tumor on my colon. Who knows? But as far as I know, I don't. And I literally
I'm sure you have a beautiful colon.
Maybe. Who knows? The poop box will tell next year. But I sat there and I'm like, okay, what's the cleanest way so that there's no real problem? And it is going to be in the car with the exhaust running. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be it. That's the way.
Yeah, you know what? There was a guy who died that way during the snowstorm. He did I tell you about this?
Yeah.
Hey, he went into his car in the garage to power his phone while he was because I think the house was out of power, and he inadvertently gassed himself. It wasn't a suicide. He went to just charge his phone and didn't realize he had to open the garage door.
Yeah, I mean accidents happen. I'm talking about intention.
But what I'm saying is, if you can do that accidentally with ease, then yes, you can do it on purpose.
Carbon monoxide, that's the way to go. Outside of, I guess, rich and 100 years old.
But to be clear, you shouldn't. Not yet. I'll be sad.
Oh, me? No, I'm not doing it yet.
Yeah, I'll be sad.
I'm thinking ahead. You should always plan ahead.
Thinking ahead. Oh man, you know what? I think my problem, or maybe my luck, is that I'm still too curious about the world. And I still
kids too.
And yes, it's not just that though. Even before that, I'm still too curious about the world, and I think that there's still a lot of places that I want to see. And the thing is, I think that there are places in this world you can go that are still just removed enough that you can just go and live a quiet life there on your own.
Sure, but that ain't gonna last. It's not gonna last.
No, see, I don't know about that. I think that there just are places.
No, they're gonna get eaten up.
How so? You know what? I'm not.
Eventually, these pieces of shit will ruin everything.
I don't believe that because I have traveled more and further than you, and I have gone places that nothing has really gotten to yet. And the reason that it hasn't been ruined is because it's not necessarily fun to live there. Frozen places, overheated places, barren places that are difficult to live. You have to want to live there.
There ain't going to be no frozen places left.
Oh,
that shit's going to go away too. It's all going to melt because nobody gives a fuck. So everything keeps warming up. Nobody cares. And unfortunately, look, I would be delighted. I really would. If the stupidity of this country in particular could be isolated into here. If they put a bubble around this shit.
No, we have too much reach. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Well, and it's not, to be fair, it's not just us. There's other countries who don't give a fuck either.
Remember that, there are term limits. I still believe that, that there can be a swing back
not
the
on
other way.
Not on the big stuff. The money outranges the term limits because these people are raising another generation just like them.
No, the biggest problem is, of course, the corporations. I do believe that. I think it's the fact that you've removed your responsibility from the money, and a lot of these companies are just like, oh, it's okay. The other day someone was going on about how they felt that the biggest threat, oh God, I can't remember what it was, and I said it was capitalism. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah. I was like, if you actually let capitalism run its course in this country, I think we'd be okay, because you'd let companies fuck up and fail. Well, we didn't have this not that long ago, where all the banks had their big the mortgage crash, right? And they were like, oh my God, they're too big to fail. And it's like, are they? Are they? Because you know what? Iceland held the banks accountable. Iceland held banks accountable and got in trouble with the what do you call it? The European Union. And they did it, and they were like, fuck you, we're doing it anyway. And they're doing fine.
The reality is there no company fails anymore. It just gets absorbed into another one. That's what happens. So there are no failures anymore. There just aren't. Because the reality is that money's going to swim to another rich person. It just does. It's insulated from ever going downwards.
Yep.
And you see it all the time. There's no meaningful anything against these people. They won. Good for them. They won.
I think you need to leave the country, man. I really do.
Why be miserable somewhere else? No.
Because
it'll be over soon enough.
No. See, that's the thing. I think there are places that you could go where this will all bother you less because you'll be so removed from it. There are little towns in Italy where you can buy a house for like $1 and just live in these little towns.
No, that's not a reality. It's not reality.
Oh, wait, your reality. But why isn't it a reality?
Because my wife could never go anywhere else. Her family's here. She's not leaving this country. It's not happening. She's not where I am. She doesn't have this level of misery. Good for her.
No, and that's true. That is good for her. It is good, very good for her. But
I don't want anybody else being like me. I hate being like this.
Am I like you?
Hey, it's fine. I'm
not
always
the
like
same,
this. It doesn't matter.
I'm not the same level as you, but I do also get very, I get bummed about this stuff. And then I try really hard to, find a buoy point.
Sure.
Yeah. And but that's the thing, you have your buoy point because you still have your dog and you still have your wife. And,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But that's all just until.
Just until
the outside pressure gets to be too much, and it will.
Man. I don't know. I feel like it swings the other way. I feel like there's still hope. I know, fuck hope and all that, but I do believe that there's still hope. I think that there is still fight. I think at some point, at some point, something is going to happen. If the French Revolution happened once,
something's going to happen. Yeah,
what's
I agree.
to say it can't happen again?
Because the system has been too... Look, they learn from that. The people... whatever would happen would be a show thing. It would be a publicity thing. But those who are insulated will remain insulated. Short of... Here's what it is.
Have
short
you read
of
Walk
money...
Away? Yeah.
No, I haven't read it. But short of money not being money anymore...
Yeah.
The people who are the most guilty have a shield.
Yes.
Now, if for some reason there is a collective change, which I don't believe, because how has it not happened already? This is what I mean about most people just are only concerned with what's around them. They don't want to give a fuck about who's 10 feet from them. Then it's all over with.
The problem is that the people who have the time and the money like having the money and the time, and they don't want to give a shit. And the people who might give a shit are usually poor enough that they're just trying to not drown.
Correct.
And so they don't have
that's what I mean about they figured it out and they
or the
learned how to make it to be where it is.
But that doesn't mean that at some point, somebody could turn around and be like, hey, let's mobilize. And, and then, there'd be a hell of a body count.
Okay.
Because, I mean, that's the funny thing is that, you're never really that far away from radical change. Like, it's always a question of what's the spark? What's the thing that sets people off? And up to now...
I mean, what is it? What does it take now?
I don't know.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know what it is, but the idea, the concept of it can exist. It is possible.
Well,
I just don't know what it is. Because the thing is, listen, we are, there's... I wonder sometimes if how they're like, there's antidepressants in the water. I wonder if the antidepressants in the water are there for a reason. But anyway,
they ain't fucking working.
No, but what I mean is it keeps people from getting so kind of miserable that they do something. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know what's the thing that'll drive people because we've become very sedentary. We've become very, we don't want to rock the boat. We like watching our TV. We've talked about this, that there's it's a couch culture. You know what I mean? Like we like to just be comfortable and take it easy, right? And it's funny because there's a meme that goes around now and then. Every time here in America they have like a big rally, like they have a No Kings rally or anything like that, and it's usually and it says the French perspective of American marching, and they say, hey, listen, the mistake you make is that you do it on the weekends. They're like, ideally, you do it every day until change actually occurs. And it's like, the French can be nuts. I mean, I adore the way that the French march and riot and get pissed off with their government. I adore it. It's hilarious to watch it. When they get set off, holy shit. Like, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. But we don't do that.
Nope.
We never take it all the way. And the thing is, I don't know what'll do it. And I mean, I do think that it's possible, but I don't know what'd actually get people off the couch. I mean, people march, that's great, but I mean, what? And I guess the other question then is also, what comes after that? Like, what's the next step? Listen,
Well,
the January 6th people, they went right into Congress. If they'd had a little more organization, they might have actually strung up some senators.
Yes. Ironically, you have pointed out the group of people who actually did something. They just got stopped, but they were mobilized and they were taking action.
Yeah. So
that should scare everybody. Those were the people who decided, oh, you know what? We need to do something. And they did. And you know what? They almost did it.
They almost did something.
They got close.
They did, yeah. I mean, they got close. And then the Secret Service started shooting, shot the first person.
Listen, they killed at least one of those guys. So it's not like they didn't take people out. They did it.
The first woman who went through the door got shot, and then everybody else was like, "Oh, wait a minute." Yeah, it's all. Yeah. Listen, it's fun and games until someone gets their head blown off, and then suddenly everyone turns around and goes, maybe we'll just wait right here and yell."
The thing that you don't really know, though, is had the election gone differently, would there have been a round 2 where they had it planned better? Yeah. And I don't know that there wouldn't have been. I really don't. So
this and the thing to remember, right? And this is why I implore everyone to be a student of history. Is because it has always been this bad. We have always been on the precipice of disaster. There have been times where it's been slightly better and slightly worse. And I do believe that we have progress. If you look at the span of history, I feel like we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. 2 steps forward. Right now, we've taken a step back. But I do believe...
step back.
Maybe
step back.
Maybe 2. But I do believe... I
can't speak about anybody else. All I know is in this country, people who are of color, people who are not straight white, women, they're all being stripped out of all the levers of power. What do you think that adds up to going forward?
But
this shit is happening.
That's happening in a lot of red states, and that's happening in the Trump administration.
No. That's happening in the government that runs everything. And the judicial structure is being put into place so that it will not be reversible.
But a lot of state
That's just happening in red states.
But a lot of state governments aren't doing that.
Doesn't matter if the federal things overrule states' rights, which they are doing. See what I'm saying? All right,
I mean, but now you're
going to have hope.
But you're going to get into a big fight now because this country has always been about states' rights versus federal rights.
I don't disagree.
And so that will be a fight that comes up, and people will fight it. Listen, there are people out there who, regardless of political party, will fight the federal government for states' rights. So
they're going to get stopped.
Well, it doesn't mean you don't go down swinging. And I think that's the whole point of it, is that you decide what you want to fight for, and then you fucking fight for it. You fight for it forever until they kill you. You fight for it. You stand up for what you believe in. You don't let anyone tell you, you don't let anyone give you any shit, and you just keep going. And if you see someone doing something wrong in front of you, you hit hard, and you make sure they learn their lesson.
We'll see.
And then you got to keep going. Because here's the thing. If I stop and let all of this get to me, the outside world, right? I let it fucking get to me. And I gas myself in the garage. That's basically me doing their job for them. Fuck that. You know what? If someone wants to kill me, they're going to have to come down here and fucking get me. Because I'm going to raise hell and be a pain in the ass until then. You know what? It's not a fuck this country. It's fuck the people running it. Fuck the people who support them. Fuck all that shit. I'm going to do it the right way. And I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I can. I'll teach my kids to be decent people. And I will hold other people around me to those standards. And if I see people fucking around, then I will let them know loud and clear that I am not to be fucked with. There are rules. I believe in repercussions. And here's the thing. If you don't think you're the type of person to do that, you know what? Start working out. Get scary. Arm up. Get weapons. Do what you got to do. I think it's been so long one side having all the guns. I think the Black Panthers had it right. When they started showing up at their rallies legally armed, suddenly there are all kinds of weird gun laws because people got scared. But you know what? That's how you move things. You don't move things by saying, it's all fucked up. I'm done with it. You move things by saying, it's all fucked up. Now I'm going to ruin your fucking day for it. And that's my position. Let's ruin their day. I can't wait for The possibility that fucking Luigi might get off for his crime. Do I think that murder is right? No, I don't. And I think he's going to have his day in court for it. He should go to court. He killed somebody. But there's a larger thing going on around about that. And it's the idea that it made a whole group of people who thought they were untouchable suddenly realize, holy shit, I'm really touchable. I'm really touchable. And the reality is, we're all really touchable. All of us. Doesn't matter how much money you have, everybody's touchable. We are a bunch of monkeys clinging to a high-speed rock flying through space, orbiting around a fireball exploding. Everything is mysterious. Everything is bizarre. Nothing is for sure. So, no, I will not go quietly into the night. I will fight, fight, fight.
Good, I wish you luck.
Gonna miss out on a party, man.
I ain't gonna miss out on shit.
Think of the fun. Think of the fun that we'll have.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be all that fun. It's okay. I care less and less as time goes on. That's my benefit.
Well, I mean, there's good care and there's bad care. You're saying you care less about what's going on in the world, or you care less about everything?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I don't know how I would define it.
Because, I mean...
I don't know. I'm starting to feel like I'm starting to care less about everything. I don't...
You care less and less about your dog?
No. Not my dog, my wife. Not them.
Well, that's it. That's part of everything,
I do find, like... It's a strange thing. It's almost like the color starting to bleed out of everything for me. I don't know how else to describe it.
No, I know
like
exactly.
Things are dimming.
Yeah, that's called depression. I know what you're talking about.
Maybe. Wouldn't shock me.
Like you're yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I know fuck hope, but I do think it swings the other way. I do think that there are decent people out there. I do think the fight is worth having.
Well, I hope you're right and I'm wrong.
I know, and I can't say for sure which one of us is right and wrong.
If one of us has to be wrong, I hope it's me.
I know, and I know that you do spiral with
things.
some of this stuff. I know that it gets to you. And I think I've tuned out some of the noise. I think that the other problem too is the speed at which bad news is delivered now is incredible.
It's not even the news. It's just some of the stuff. It's not even the news. It's the news itself is not even the problem. It's the mindsets behind the news that are so cancerous that you sit there and go, no, it isn't what's at the top. It's where it's coming from. And the fact that it's so everywhere, it's too widespread. It is a cancer. It really is that, because all the stuff that's in the news, that's the end part of it. That's not the cause. That's the symptom.
Yeah.
The cause is too foundational and it's too widespread because you see it all over the place. It's the same thing as that, it's the whole meet your heroes problem, where all these people on the surface look great, and then you find out, oh, look at that, they're fondling kids. Great.
No,
this is all nothing. This is all just blown away.
Yeah, never meet your heroes.
Fuck me. Never read about them. Never look at anything past their name on a credit. You know what I mean? It's not even meeting them anymore. It's not like you're going to... This is going to happen when you go backstage with somebody and they try to shove their finger up your asshole. No, you're going to read about it. It's not like... That's what I'm saying, is it's so far beyond that now. That...
Yeah. But I guess my thing is, like, when you... This is why I said everyone should be a student of history. When you read about a lot of people historically, a lot of them tend to be... There's a lot of douchebags in history. There's a lot of them.
Right, and those douchebags learned from the mistakes of the past, and they've built up fortifications to stop any changes from happening in the future. And this is not me suggesting overthrow the government. I don't think there's a point in doing that. It's pointless. The government's not the problem.
No.
Government doesn't matter.
No, what you're talking about...
The government's not where the power is.
What you're talking about is, overall, your problem is you need a different class of people. You need people who think about the long game. You think about people who worry about each other.
we need a complete realignment
of what matters.
of how humans have value for things.
Yeah.
The value system is so off whack and it's so built in that you can't change it with, I mean, you need a virus to wipe 95% of the population out. I'm not wishing for that. I'm saying you need something of that level so that people have to sit there and go,
well, remember,
and hopefully only the right people survive.
Remember after
say,
COVID? Like, there was a brief period after COVID where everyone was, like, kind of just so happy to be around people.
And that was nothing. So
yes, and as I often refer to my mother, I say COVID was like plague with training wheels. Yeah. But you know what? That's the thing, is that's... Okay. So, we are in a time period that is referred to as the long peace, right? So, there hasn't been a world war since World War II, right? There have been small battles. There have been proxy wars type stuff. Yeah. There hasn't been a world war. There also hasn't been...
We're working on it.
Well, we're working on it. There also hasn't been a grand plague, right? COVID was, like I said, training wheels. But there hasn't been a black plague. There hasn't been a bubonic plague, right? So we're in this situation where a whole lot of people, real fucking easy. And here's the thing. I'm going to throw shade both directions now. There's a lot of young people that sit there and they're more caught up with what their special name is or what color their flag is, and they're not paying attention to kind of bigger problems. And it's because they have the time.
To be fair about that, what seems like a minimal thing, because I've had that thought myself. And then I did a little reading, to your point about being a student of history, and I started to realize it's because these people, these younger generations, have looked around and realized that they're under assault from everything in a way that was different than when you and I were younger. And I think in a negative way.
I attribute that to the internet.
Okay, yeah. And the internet has been designed a certain way for engagement maxing, to use a young person's term.
Addictive.
And so
attention, yeah.
Boy, let me tell you, I fucking shit. This has been a bad week as far as hearing people talk about stuff, because there was just a case. Yeah. Actually, there's somebody I'm going to be talking to in the next couple weeks who I'm very interested in the opinion of. I'm going to be doing a late night with a person. I want to say yet, even though it's pretty much locked in.
Okay.
But I am very curious what her opinion on this particular court case was, because this is a person who actually, knows shit.
Okay.
I mean, everybody that I talk to knows shit, but I mean, is in the middle of this kind of stuff to some degree.
You're flirting with me here. Come on. What's the? Okay. I'm so curious.
So there's a court case, the court case against Meta, from this woman who said that she was addicted. Yeah. Okay. Right. So, the court case, all that stuff aside, I was listening to somebody talking about it, and their big hang-up was that you can't prove addiction, and therefore this case is bad, because if you can't prove addiction, you shouldn't be able to limit anything. And then this person went on to actually make fun of this person's potential internet addiction. And I got to be honest, I got so angry at that, because this is a person who otherwise seems empathetic, mocking something they admit that they don't know whether it is or isn't. Yeah, so rather than allow that it could be, they mock. I'm not saying it's you. It's not you.
No. The thing is, I'm not mocking young people. I'm saying that young people, to some degree, they aren't worried about bigger things on like a microcosmic level, because they've got the internet.
Because everything thrown at them encourages them to care about little things. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with you.
And the thing is, when you have a world war and a lot of people die, when you have I'm not saying these are good things, but just saying this is the byproduct. When you have a world event where people realize, holy shit, we're all in this together, they stop and they look in the mirror and they go, holy shit, we're in this together. And not everybody, there's always assholes, right? But that kind of struggle, it changes, and it makes it makes it so that people go, holy shit, let's not do that again, right? I mean, and
I agree, but that's a symptom of a deep cancer.
Yeah,
the fact that it would take that to get people to look at each other and say, "Oh, wait a second,
I agree with you.
That's an indication that this is a species that is done with."
But no, but that's that's the thing. We are a warlike species. We war with each other. We war with everybody.
My point. You are proving my point.
I know, but the thing is, I do think that there is still hope for us to evolve past that.
And like our clone debate, this is the difference. I think foundationally we cannot move past it.
We are
in all this time, we haven't managed it.
We are okay. We haven't been here that long. We are an adolescent species. The dinosaurs were here many, 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 many times beyond us.
Sure. Like, the dinosaurs also had brains, I don't know, what tenth of ours, and went around eating each other. They were animals.
But that's my point, is that we are a young species. Like, I think there's many, many years of evolution, psychologically speaking, that still have to happen. Or we actually do develop an artificial intelligence which basically turns around and goes, I'm wiping you guys out. You guys are a pain in the ass. Right?
That's fine too.
You know,
maybe that's better.
Or, you know what? Or we create artificial intelligence and then it turns around and goes, I'm God now. Here are your rules. Could you imagine that? Suddenly the human race gets handed a bunch of rules and it says, okay, these are all the things you can't do. And if you do them, there'll be repercussions.
Yeah, and then it's second renaissance. And we'll all be dead anyway.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of... There's a part of me that flirts with the idea that that kind of repercussion might be good for us, to have actual rules. I mean, I've joked around with the idea of what would happen if tomorrow... What if tomorrow Christianity was right? What if God showed up with his fucking shiny book and he was like, hey guys, everything in the book was true. Think of the carnage. Think of the mayhem. Would there be anybody left? I mean, like... And honestly, take that a bit further. If any religion was true, right? Think of the mayhem. Think of the body count.
Well, I actually, and this is going to sound strange for me, who's been screeching doom for 30 minutes, but in that scenario, I actually would have more hope. Because...
No, but that's what I mean. If there were suddenly actual rules and repercussions...
Yeah, I don't know how much carnage there would be, because fundamentally...
Yeah.
What drives people to act like, quote-unquote, good people...
Yeah.
There's a small combination of things, but one of them is the threat of punishment.
Yes.
This is why, again, when people make this, and I hear people, especially libertarians, love to say that people are inherently good. And I'm like, really? Then why do you have to discipline children? If people were inherently good...
Because they're animals and they don't know any better. That's why. The same way that you have to train your dog.
But then they're not inherently... Don't give me inherently good. They're not inherently good. If they were...
I don't... listen... I do not think...
I'm not talking about you. I'm saying to others who try to tell me that I'm being overly cynical. And I'm like, really?
We are animals. And much like animals, if you do not train us, we will shit and bite and fuck the place up.
While stealing everything around us that we want to ingest and make ourselves immense with sugar. Of course.
Well, honestly, that's the joke of it, isn't it? Like, our dietary system is so screwed up, and we haven't evolved beyond it. So you've got people that are just like, I'm going to eat all of this, now I can't move. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, okay, but in fairness, if everything around you that you ever got exposed to was vegetables, you'd probably be all right. You know, you'd probably be shitting like a fucking fountain all day, but you would be all right.
Body,
I mean, it would be okay.
But you'd adapt to it, or you would grow them
right.
Yeah, sure. What do you call it? But yes,
if the things that were presented were healthier, then we would be healthier.
Yeah,
this
but
is my kind of point.
But again, this gets back to capitalism. This gets back to the fact that if the only rule is to make the most amount of money, then nothing else matters. You know what? This is the paperclip problem. Remember the paperclip story about the AI?
Oh, sure.
Where you give it one rule and it basically builds paperclips till it wipes out the human race, right? Yeah. We're living that. Remember I told you about maybe we're living in a quiet apocalypse? This is the quiet apocalypse. Yeah. Corporations basically have one rule: make money. And so at the cost of everything else and the cost of the very environment itself, the only rule is to make money. So it doesn't care. So it just keeps going. And it keeps going, make more money. And it's like, the humans are dying. And listen, soon there won't be anyone to actually buy the products that we're creating. But it doesn't matter because we need to make more money. Just keep going. And that's I mean, fundamentally, we are going to buy our way out of existence.
Yeah, baby, I'm with you. This is what I'm saying. Yes, I agree.
But the thing is, our end product reactions to this are the difference, because you're sitting there going, right, we're all fucked, fuck it, and I'm sitting there going, right, we have to change it and do something better.
No, not gonna work. There's not enough people who care.
I think there are.
I don't think there are. Where are they? Where have they been?
They're not currently in positions of power. That's the problem.
Well, they don't try to get into them either, so I don't want to hear it anymore. This is like I'm sick of that fucking excuse.
It's the whole people. Anyone who wants power is usually the last person should have it. And the people who should have power are the people who desperately don't want it.
Okay, I don't disagree with that, but you know what else? Then make sure that the people who you do think should be in power are, and people don't care.
Listen, Trump is a great example, right? Outside of his politics, right? As a person, as a human being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If Clinton, as a person, as a human, Clinton got a blowjob in the White House and they impeached his ass, right?
Right. Yeah.
Trump might be a rapist pedophile, and he's on his second term. Mm-hmm. And outside of the politics, morally, you sit there and go, should that person really have power? And I think it's like I have to take it out of politics, because everybody immediately goes, no, you just don't like him because you're Republican. No. First off, I never liked Trump. I grew up with him. He switched back and forth many times.
I tell people that all the time. You people didn't know him. Anybody who's in the tri-state area fucking knew this guy.
Yeah, Trump's been a douchebag.
He ain't no new thing to us. He's a known quantity.
In the greater New York area for my entire life.
Fucking A, man.
Right? So I know that he is a douche, but there are people who are basically using him and basically know that he has these personality shortcomings, and they're using him to get things done that they want to get done. So they're like, hey, we love you. You're awesome. Could you get rid of all the brown people? And he's like, yeah, I'll get rid of the brown people because you guys are showing me adulation, and I fucking love adulation. So yeah, let's get rid of the brown people, right? And it becomes, it's like you've got that mania and you've got that hatred layered on top of the capitalism problem, which makes it an even bigger problem, right? But then the question becomes, how do you get people to stop hating each other? Maybe that's the fundamental problem. How do you get people to stop hating each other?
Uh-huh.
And how do you get them to actually care? And listen, I know this is a fundamental problem. One of the books I was writing, I think I told you about this, that at the end, the mad scientist creates a virus that basically makes everybody good. And there's a whole argument at the end of my book where it was like, do you have the right to do that to the human race, to take away their free will? That they no longer get the choice whether they want to be assholes. They're all going to be good. And the mad scientist is like, you know what? Humans had free will for thousands of years. Look what they've done with it. I don't agree. He goes, if I have the intelligence to create this, then you know what? Might makes right. By their very rules, I have the right to do this. And he unleashes the virus on the human race. And then I wanted to write a further book where I examine what happens to the world when everybody becomes generally good. And they warned them that it's only going to last a few generations. So I was like, wow, what happens if you've got several generations of just invariably good people? What would the world even fucking look like? Right? Mm. And the fact that in being invariably good is a kind of science fiction says a lot about where we are in the world right now.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you and I agree on a lot of this. Where we differ is that you're like, fuck them, fuck this. And I said, yes, fuck them, fuck this. But I think we could do better. I think there's still hope. I just do. And I don't know where the people are, but I know they're out there. I know that there's a lot of good people, and that we just need some time. We just need some time. I don't think we're done. I don't think the race is done. But listen, I also don't think things are going to look the way they look right now 100 years from now. I think there is evolution that needs to happen. I agree
about that.
Yeah, I think there's evolution that has to happen. We are creating a technology that is stronger than our ability to process it. And this is the really big problem, right? So with machine learning, you know what? Yeah, just with all the technology, because it's not just AI, right? When you study the mind of human beings, and you start to get a sense of what our shortcomings, what our biases are, what our shortcuts are, right? You can make things more addictive. You can make things more dangerous, right? And the thing is that you make these things dangerous enough that even when you're aware of what it's doing, it still does it to you. So, for example, if you meet a sexy woman and she starts to manipulate you, right? Sometimes you're aware that she's manipulating you. You're totally aware of what she's doing. And yet, you also kind of can't help it a little bit because she's so damn attractive. I mean, you know, Joe, if you were having a conversation with Mila, I'm sorry, but, you know, part of your logical thinking is going to be in the back seat because you're going to be talking to somebody that you think is astoundingly beautiful. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And that's the thing is that even when we know, even when we can see the strings on the puppet, we still forget sometimes that it's a puppet. And so it's dangerous because we keep making this technology that's smarter. That's more. It's not even smarter. Let's not use words like it's making decisions. We're making the decisions. We're telling it to evolve and get better at manipulating us, right? And to a certain point, right, they're manipulating us to make more money and to give them more power and to not worry. But the question is, at what point does it tip the scales? At what point does whatever you're doing go too far? And use another science fiction reference, Serenity, right? Isn't the whole point of that movie, Serenity, that on one of these planets, they were trying to make people more docile, and they basically just killed, was like 98% of the population or something like that? Where they put this drug in the air that basically just made everyone lay down and die, except for like a very small percent of the population that went apeshit goddamn crazy, right? Well, to some degree, isn't that kind of what we're doing with the technology? I mean, I think the thing that gives me hope still is that there's still a lot of stuff you can shut off. You can still close your eyes to a lot of these addictive technologies. There is still a way. The problem is that psychologically people don't know. You know, so like my kids only recently got smartphones. We kept them away from it for the longest time. They have them now. They're not entirely sure what to do with it. And I think that's a good thing. I don't really encourage it. Like, the only thing I encourage with my son is that, you know, if he's got, like, heavy questions, like, you know, encyclopedia type stuff, I'm like, look it up. That's it. But otherwise, they never got into social media. I do check, by the way. Like, I check now and then to make sure to see what they're up to, just so I have a heads up. They haven't gotten into social media. I mean, Jesus, to my knowledge, they haven't discovered porn yet, which is a good thing. Because, I mean, once you discover that shit, it's all downhill. But it's like, I raised them a certain way where, like, they have the technology, but they're not doing it like everybody else does it. And to some degree, they're somewhat confused why people around them are doing things the way they're doing. You know, and it's like, I kind of felt bad for a while there that I was keeping them. I was like, oh, I'm keeping you from this technology. But it's like, you know what? The technology is not the norm. The technology is, in fact, the peculiarity. Right? The addictive nature of it, the access to it. Like, we don't realize it, that it works on them the way it does. But, like, you know, even the animated movies that your kids watch, which seem safe, they drive your kids to want those toys. I wanted those fucking toys. I mean, listen, what Sunday cartoons, or Saturday cartoons as well, in the 80s were designed to make you want to buy fucking toys. Listen, I love Transformers because I was
all of them.
They were designed. Well, I know I'm using Transformers as an example, though. They designed the Transformers specifically to be desirable as toys. Like, that's the weird origin of it, is that they were like, hey, we want to sell these robots. Let's make a show built around it. Right? And you know, I still fucking love them. You know, and you think about it, all these shows. Thundercats, I had those toys. Transformers, I had those toys. Silverhawks, I really liked those toys. I mean, can we go through the list? He-Man, fucking loved He-Man toys. They still have He-Man toys today, right? This shit was designed. I mean, they knew they knew the colors they had to use. And we live in this age now where the movies that you watch, they have to go put these things through, they have to vet them. You know, I mean, what was what was the movie that we watched? Ultraviolet. The studio was vetting it, and they were like, this isn't going to work. And they took it away from them. Not that they did a better job. They were just cutting their losses at that point. But either way, they're so focused on making money. I mean, this happens in books as well, that nobody wants to do anything new. Where they sit there and they're like, yeah, you know what? We want you to make something for us, but don't make it very different, because we need it to be similar enough that people are comfy and they like it. Don't challenge them. People spend less money when they're challenged. We need them to be comfy. And that's why so much TV is basically like the same fucking thing. And I catch myself doing it too, where I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to watch something, but I kind of want it to be like this, right? But the shows that I really love, I realize, are because I like them for their differences. But I'm a weirdo. I admit that. But yeah, it's like, how do you design this culture? You design this economy of media to be as addictive as possible. And then at some point or another, it's going to become so skillful. It's going to become so attuned that will anybody be able to escape its gravity? You know, it's going to take a Herculean effort to switch off your TV and walk away from it, to put your phone away, to not look at your feed, which is just carefully orchestrated to just maximize the dopamine, to just fucking hit it over and over and over again and just drag you through it for hours. You know, it's getting better and better, and we're telling it to do it better, because at the end of the day, we want more money. And it's this endless cycle. And you sit there and you say, at some point or another, we buy each other out of existence. You know? Or there's no one left to buy anything. And then the last remaining humans are like, you know what? Maybe we should shut this shit off. You know, there's no one left who can afford the 9 million Nikes that we're pumping out of this factory that we basically destroyed the environment to be able to make. You know, there's no one to buy all these cars that we're making. And they're so expensive, and, you know, inflation has to increase constantly. In fact, the system has to increase endlessly. We need infinite growth, but it's a finite system. So how the hell do you do that? You know, eventually the system destroys itself. And hopefully it won't destroy the people at the same time. But like I said, we haven't been here that long. Maybe we still have a long way to go.
We'll see.
I'm sorry that you've been under a dark cloud, sir.
That's all right. Yeah, I'm used to it at this point. I've been like this for like 10 years. What's the difference?
I know, but it's not nice.
Hey, man, the world ain't nice, right? So, whatever.
Would you be happy, though, in like one of these little quiet Italian towns, like in one of these like little... You know, they have these little villages that are like walled off practically.
You know what? Probably not, because the problem for me is I would have to go back and make myself uncaring about the world beyond me. I would have to withdraw any give a shit about anybody else. It's the only way you can live sanely in this world. It's the only way.
I know, but
is to just not care about anybody else.
You don't think you could focus on like your immediate community?
Well, that's what I'm doing now, and I'm still miserable. So no, I think I would have to change my brain. I'm not miserable to other people. I try to be nice to other people. No,
you're very nice. I know you're very nice.
That's what I'm saying. So I do that now, and I'm still like this. So no, I would have to reorient my brain to not care the way most people don't. And then I'd be fine. That's why most people can sit there and know that many others are in misery and pain and still not care, because as long as they have the things they want, everything's fine. So if I was like that, then yeah, I'd be happy anywhere, as long as I wasn't, poor on the street.
Yeah.
But if I was at least comfortable and completely self-absorbed,
it's hard.
Then I'd be fine.
It's hard to be that way in good conscience, though.
That's a great phrase. It's hard to be that way with a conscience.
With good,
I agree.
In good conscience, yes.
Same difference. I agree.
Yeah.
So that goes back to my central point. So could I be? Not as I exist now. I don't think I could really ever. Nah, probably not. Yeah. No, I don't think I'd be happy anywhere. I would still look around and just see rot. You know, I'd be like somebody who could see zombies everywhere. I mean, that's kind of how I see the world. I just see rot everywhere.
Well, I mean, to be fair, of late, there are a lot of zombies. I mean, you look around and you look at people. I mean, did I tell you?
But you know what?
Did I tell you the other day? I was in the car and I saw somebody in front of me, and they were watching pornography on their iPhone while they were driving.
Hey, you know what? Take your entertainments where you can.
You know what? I disagree. Not in the car at 60 miles per hour.
Well, all right, but you know what though? You make my point. There are laws in almost every state that I'm aware of against that. Does anybody actually really ever get ticketed for it in any meaningful way? No, they get a ticket, they pay it, they do the same thing. So again, who cares? Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. We know that distracted driving is just as bad, if not worse, than being drunk and everything else.
Yeah.
So, and people be like, well, you can't. You know, people make mistakes. Well, fuck mistakes. When they're fatal, I don't want to hear mistakes. That's it. It's done. So if you punish hard up front, you're done.
You're getting into an interesting conversation about freedom, though, right? So there are those that will tell you.
There's one that most people will not like my opinion on either.
No, but that's the thing. You're getting into this realm where, I mean, we just said that, you know, if there was like AI deities that came in and said, these are the rules, and if you fuck up, you die, right? And we both said, well, you know, that might actually help us as a society.
Mm-hmm.
So in leaving people with the freedom to be douchebags, is freedom worth it if you're going to have so many bad people?
No. I have been saying for a while now that we have over-fetishized freedom and free speech in this country. And as soon as I say that, people want to light my hair on fire. And I will say it and say it and say it again, because the reality is both of those things are fucking fantasies to begin with.
So hold on. No, hold on. So what do you mean by that? The free speech.
I mean
why do you think it's over-fetishized?
Because free speech, as we think of it, and most people think of it incorrectly to begin with, so let's start right there.
How do you think of it correctly?
Mine is a pretty narrow particular application of this, and it does tend to be in the realm of technology, because that's where right now a lot of the arguments are being made. That's only because right now that's where the arguments are being made. And I hear a lot of people who are free speech defenders, as they would call themselves, saying, oh, no. You can't do anything to limit anything unless you can demonstrate a harm. And they use that phrase so specifically, demonstrate a harm. And my counterpoint to that is, okay, there are harms that you know will happen if you don't curtail speech in ways that make sense.
Okay.
The fact that you have to have it happen first, that somebody has to kill themselves first for you to demonstrate that speech can be a weapon, to me makes no sense. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Because by that logic, we shouldn't have safety. No airline should have safety checks. Fuck it. Take your risk. Risk is everywhere. Fly without people checking.
Well, the reason,
what could happen? Demonstrate a harm.
Hold on, but you got that wrong. The safeties aren't there for the people. The safeties are there so that nobody blows up the corporate plane. Well, they don't want you bringing shit on that's going to fuck their shit up. That shit's not there for you.
Yes.
You know, and listen.
I agree.
The TSA people don't like it when you joke around about bombs because they don't want to get fired. That's why they don't find that shit funny.
I'm in complete agreement. So the free speech one is a fairly narrow one. I think free speech is generally good, although again, I would say it's a myth. It's not really what people think it is, because there hasn't been free speech, and I can't even tell you how long. We think there is, because we think that you can say whatever you want, but the reality is, if you really think free speech exists, why don't you go out in public and say you're going to kill the president for a couple hours and see how free your speech is?
Yeah,
say you're going to kill anybody and hope they don't turn up dead and see how free your speech is, right? It's bullshit, and it's been bullshit. Because again, free speech is only really protection by government censorship of speech, and even that is not unlimited. So, it's a fucking myth that we've had, and it gets used as a shield against everything. Now, I don't disagree.
Yes, but
in 100% that
you have to. I believe that everyone should have I believe everyone should have the right to basically say what they believe in. But the thing is, I also think you don't have the right to hit other people over the head with it. The problem is that with the internet, you can't escape it, and you get bombarded by it.
Okay, and see, I agree with you. This is where I'm the same way. Is default. You always want to lean into the idea of free speech as much as possible. I'm fine with that, but the idea of it being, again, this adamantium-laced skeleton against anything is garbage.
Yeah, no,
and
I get
the same thing about freedom, because that's been a myth from the beginning too. Well, this country exists and everybody has as much freedom as possible.
Listen,
Fuck you. It doesn't.
Let me tell you. No, hold on. Let me tell you. I had a good experience the other day with a man. I got to be really careful how I tell this story.
Don't name names.
Son of a bitch. No, because, I got to be careful. I got to be careful how I tell this story. So, somebody recently said to me...
Somebody somewhere at some time said...
Yeah, I know, because I got to be careful. Said to me...
why be careful? You're free speech. Say whatever you want. Don't worry about it.
No. It's because this isn't about free speech, man. This is about people that I know. Which is a different. This is about not wanting to get in trouble with people that you know. They said that they don't understand that you don't really own anything in this country because the taxes are so bad, and if you don't pay the taxes, you lose the property that you own. So in reality, nobody really owns anything. You're just renting from the government. And this was somebody who, up until that point, had kind of believed that they owned what they owned, and was now coming to this realization of shit. I mean, basically, when you buy something, all that really is your security deposit, and that you then pay rent, which is taxes. I mean, taxes are essentially your rent, and if you don't pay them, you lose your property, you lose your things, right? If you don't pay your income tax, you get in trouble with the you get in touch with trouble with the government. If you don't pay taxes on your house, eventually you're going to lose your fucking house, right? So yeah, you're just renting. And they had this realization, and it really bummed them out, because up until that moment, they never really sat there and said, shit, I thought I actually owned this shit. And it's like, no, not really. No, you don't. They own it. You're just renting it. And that's the thing, is that, you're just renting everything. I mean, everything will outlast you. Everything you own will outlast you in some form or another. We are meat. We're passing through. So,
pretty much.
They had this, So no, it's not about free speech. It's about getting in trouble with people that I know. Because, So, nonetheless.
But that's why I say I think we've fetishized freedom in this country, where only my own individual freedom matters over everybody, which is, again, a byproduct of the bigger problem, which is nobody gives a fuck about anybody but themselves.
You know what? Hey, you want to know how to live right? Star Trek. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. I like Star Trek. I like that vision of the future. I know that it's a bit communist, but you know what? The problem with communism, I actually said this to my mother the other day, that there's all these systems of government, and you know what the biggest problem with them, right? It's the people, right? Because communism as a concept works until you basically upload people into it, and then there's corruption, and then there's people not following the rules, right? I mean, the same with what do you call it? Capitalism. Capitalism works theoretically, right? The market corrects, right? Until you drop corruption into it and human nature, and then all of a sudden shit doesn't work, and you're kind of sitting there going, "Wow, can I make a what do they call it? Oh, there's a phrase. What's that phrase? The mousetrap? Is it the perfect mousetrap?
Oh, build a better mousetrap?
Yeah, like you basically need to make a system of governance that can balance out human nature and corruption. Can you design it so that people can't manipulate it, get around it, get through it, but that the system is also flexible for when it makes a mistake. Right?
Well, look, capitalism could work if it wasn't about the accumulation of profit, but about the accumulation of human betterment. That's Star Trek. That's what you're talking about. That's next gen. We work to better ourselves. That's capitalism with humans at the center.
But those systems are allowed to self-correct if they fail. That's what I mean. Like, right now, the best people don't get the government contract. Right? The people who basically bribe the most and then fuck their employees over the most so that they can bring the lowest dollar necessarily in might end up getting it. Right? But it's never like a sure shot. Right? It's all just smeared with corruption and negativity. Like,
correct.
But that doesn't mean that I'm giving up. I still think that we can be better. I think that we can still evolve. Listen, I got into psychology when I was younger, specifically because I wanted to improve on my mind. I wanted to get better at life. And once I got to a certain point where I felt like I was better, then I focused on trying to make my relationships with other people better. And understand my relationships with other people better. A lot of my life has become about the pursuit of having more fair and understanding relationships. And sometimes it sucks because there's so much about us that, there's so much about us that wants to be greedy, that wants us to be like the human impulse, right? The id, to use a Freudian term, is a spoiled child, right? And it's the superego, it's the higher philosophy, it's the reasoning that's supposed to come in and basically like, hey, that's not how we act. We're bigger than this, right? And that's what enables you to enter a situation and say, okay, let me not act like a spoiled child. Let me act like an adult. Let me not take all the food because there's other people need to eat in this room. Let me not spend all the money because, other people need money themselves to pay things. Let me not look in the mirror and say, well, I get all the money because I'm fucking amazing, right? Like, yeah, we mislead ourselves. We lie to ourselves. And then we create these technologies that make it so that we just can't stop. We are actually primed for addiction as a species. And we then create a culture of, addiction to make money, and like it's always been like that. Listen, you know what? What do they say? Prostitution is like the oldest profession. The oldest profession, yeah. Yeah, I think gambling is probably the oldest sport or the oldest pastime afterwards. So I still have hope. I still think we can be better. I still think we all have the ability to be better people. We just have to, lower the percentage that we think of ourselves in the equation. And you know what? Maybe this is a product for me of having children and realizing that it's very much not about me. I'm there and my kids are there and there's a bigger picture. I mean, listen, but you don't need to be a parent for that, because you look at your wife and you look at your dog and you sit there and say, there's a bigger picture. Like, it's not hard if you make the effort to sit there and look around and go, hey, this isn't about me. I'll give you, a great example of this is, there's a massive disconnect between men and women, right? Where men are like, oh, why won't women put out more? Or some shit like that. And it's like, hey, your reaction to a woman is not her fault. She's there living her life, doing her thing. Your reaction is your problem. Get it in check. And that is like a great microcosm for kind of the bigger problem, which is the whole get yourself in check. We all need to hold ourselves accountable and get ourselves in check. That alone would make the world so much better. Anyway, I've beat this horse long enough.
No. I'd rather hear your opinion because it's much brighter than mine.
It's a fight, man. We keep fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Jesus, I don't even know where to go from there.
I do. We had a question that came in.
Yeah.
And I promised I would let you answer it because you will answer it better than I will. In clearer terms, anyway. Hold on.
Is this about the nether regions of Star Wars characters?
No. Well, tangentially, I guess, if that's how that's pronounced.
All right, by all means, launch away.
Oh, sorry, this is the wrong email. Here it is. No, wait. Jeez. Wait a minute. Which email is it? There was one where the question was... Oh, my God. Where the hell is it? Okay. Well, whatever. I have the note here. So, we had a question come in from friend of the show, Aunt Pruitt, who asked for an explanation of the difference between fantasy and science fiction. And I will let you explain that difference.
Oh, you know what? This is a great question.
You are far more in the realm of fantasy than I am, so you have a better...
This is a great question because, honestly, I have been playing with this lately because I have returned to writing. I mean, not to sell, just to do it because, I realize that it's a fundamental part of my brain, whether I make money off of it or not. But I had an idea that basically drove me crazy, and I realized I needed to write it. And this idea, part of what made it so seductive to me, was that it bridged the gap between technology and magic. And basically it was a story that took place in both science fiction and fantasy. Now, what is the difference between fantasy and science fiction? I think that at its most basic, it's basically, Jesus Christ, I'm going to learn to talk. It's magic. It's really just magic. Technology can do a lot of weird shit, but at the end of the day, in science fiction, the idea is that it is all explainable through science. It's all something that's going on that if you don't have the explanation yet, it will be explainable at some point, right? It's not something from nothing. There is the possibility of an explanation for it, right? It's space travel, it's aliens, it's it's laser guns, right? Star Wars is fantasy to a point because the Force is magic. I mean, Jedis are basically space sorcerers, right? Sorcerers and not wizards because their powers are innate. They don't have to learn. They don't have to learn. You either have the Force or you don't, right? Which means you're a sorcerer. If you had to go learn the words to then control the Force, you had to learn spells. If it was a learned behavior, you have to learn to control what you have. But at the end of the day, there's Jedi. Anakin was already a powerful motherfucker. He just had to know how to use it, right? So fucking sorcerer. That is where Star Wars becomes fantasy. But up until that moment, it's science fiction. Right? I mean, there's spaceships. You're going to different worlds. It's all explainable. If anything, it's space opera, which is space opera is essentially doing a dramatic story that happens to take place in a science fiction universe. Hard science fiction is very much about some kind of strange scientific thing that is occurring. The science becomes the story. What was the thing that we watched where the science was the story? Was it the one with the robot on the ship? Oh, God, what was it? It was a Polish movie. What was the one that we watched?
Oh, the Purple Ball?
No, not Purple. I forgot about the Purple Ball. No, the other one with the pilot who doesn't know who the robot is.
Prix's Inquest.
Yes, yeah, that is a hard science type of movie, right? Now, fantasy is anything where essentially the science doesn't necessarily matter where you live in. I mean, and the problem is that very often it gets positioned in like a medieval world, right? Like a faux medieval world is really what it is, because you're in a world where there's magic. And the thing is, once you have magic, magic really fucks with the idea of technology, right? So why do people, why would you want to technologically advance things when you can just enchant something or find a mage or a wizard or somebody to magic things up, right? I mean, what is the point of a gun when you can, get a wand and magically flay somebody, right? Fantasy is essentially the idea that you can be in a world where magic. That's it. It's just magic. That you can get the idea that you could get something for nothing more than effort. That through force of will alone you can change the world, right? And also, I will say this: if I had to write a treaty, like a treatise, what is that how you say, a treatise, on like all the fundamentals thing that make because I mean, I'm giving you like the basic idea that fantasy is magic, but there's also lots of little elements along the way that people classically think of being fantasy. So, right, in a fantasy world, very often you can kill one person and it changes the world. There's an evil wizard, there's an evil king, there's an evil princess, whatever, right? That's a fantasy element, right? You also have fantastical creatures, right? You have famously non-humans. You have dwarves and elves and kinder, if you like Dragonlance. You've got you've got orcs and goblins, and you've got centaurs, and you've got and you have a whole pantheon of mythical animals, right? That's fantasy, right? Now, what gets interesting is when you start trying to blend the two. But the problem is, the second you bring magic into a science fiction world, it now becomes fantasy. Right, so Shadowrun. Wow, you know what? Does anyone even know what Shadowrun is anymore? Do you think anyone knows what Shadowrun is anymore?
I'm sure some people do. They could look
All
it
right,
up.
so-
Well, you know what?
so
Here, hold on.
Shadowrun-
I can link to it. I'll put it in the show notes.
All right, so
If
Shadowrun
you don't
was
know what it is,
essentially-
look in the show notes.
Yeah, so if you like D&D, but you wanted to be more cyberpunk, you'd play Shadowrun, which was basically if you took the fantasy world and put it into a technological future, right? But the problem is that you can have as much fucking computers and hacking as you want. The second you bring magic into that mix, it's fantasy. It is now fantasy with science fiction elements, right? That's what it becomes, because the second you have force of will, and you can change the world. It's magic. Star Wars. Star Wars is fantasy. Why? Because fucking space sorcerers.
So is the summary of this fantasy, it's all about the magic.
It is, honestly. It's about the magic.
Okay.
And I hate for it to be so, to break it down, but at the end of the day,
Well,
yeah,
if that's what it is, that's what it is.
I think that's what it is. I mean, and the thing is, there are many other elements, because the thing is, people like their fantasy to be colored like fantasy, right? So people want the faux medieval setting. They want the different races, right? But I mean, listen, dark fantasy, which is a genre, dark fantasy can happen anywhere. You can have a dark fantasy story that happens in the modern world, right? But you've got creatures, and you've got magic, and you've got fairies and vampires and lions and tigers and bears. Vampires are fantasy, right? Because they are magical creatures. They live forever. Why? There's no scientific explanation for it. They drink blood. I mean, honestly, if you wrote a vampire story and you completely scientifically explained it all, then it might actually become science fiction. It might become hard science, depending on how deep you get into it, right? I mean, you could turn. I mean, and honestly, go back to Star Wars. Great example. The first 3 Star Wars movies, fantasy. But then George Lucas was like, you know what? I want to try and science fiction this up. So then they got this whole thing about the midichlorians. Remember that bullshit? Where it was actually like the midichlorians and your blood count, and there was a whole thing about, the midichlorian count in your blood. And it was George Lucas's attempt to try and science fiction up the fantasy elements, right? But I mean, it was just done so poorly that everyone's like, I don't give a shit. This just makes it worse. And they kind of, I mean, have you heard anything about midichlorians since the prequels?
Oh, no, they ditched that right out.
Yeah, they dumped that shit, right? Because they understood that it just didn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But that was Lucas's attempt to science fiction it up. So, like vampires. Vampire novels are fantasy novels. So, Frankenstein. Frankenstein, I think, is one of the first science fiction novels. Why? Because it is grounded in a kind of science. At that time, they didn't understand what brought life to tissue. So he had dead tissue, and he tried to bring it back to life by electrifying it, which is...
No, smartly, she never pointed out how it worked. She just said, I figured out the formula. Done.
Okay. Oh, yes. So there you go. But there was a formula, right?
Yeah, no, it was all it was all based in a type. I don't remember what the science was called, but it was they called it something, some kind of science. Listen,
yeah, and the thing is that if even when it's faux science, there's still a scientific attempt to it. And the greater story of Frankenstein is more so about what, be careful what you create to some degree, right? And what are the rights of a thing that you create, But again, a science fiction story. Whereas Dracula's fantasy. Why? Because he lives forever. He just drinks blood. He has magical fucking powers. I mean, Dracula is essentially oh man, like there was a term before vampires. Before vampires became a term, there was something else where it was like an undead. It was some other type of undead thing that lived off the life force of humans. I can't remember what it was now. But essentially, like that's your divide right there. Dracula is fantasy. It's fantastical. Why? Because a vampire is magic. I mean, that's the other thing too. Is the magic doesn't necessarily have to be a wizard waving a wand. You know what I mean? Like, it's the magical elements that there are no scientific explanation. What's fascinating is the thing. Was it? Oh God, who said it? Fuck, what was his name? It wasn't Hubbard. Was it Clarke who said
Arthur C. Clarke?
Yeah.
Any sufficiently advanced technology will be as magic or whatever.
He's magic, right? I love that. Because to some degree, he's right. It will appear as magic. However, there are still rules that govern it. So, could all fantasy eventually end up being science fiction when you find out that there were very specific rules? If Lucas had gotten heavily into the midichlorian thing and made it like kind of the forefront of his movies, then Star Wars would have become science fiction. Why? Because there was a science behind the Force. If you found out that, a Lord of the Rings, if you suddenly got a scientific explanation of how all the magic in that world works, right? I mean, you realize, oh well, it's actually they're actually using the Force, and Gandalf has incredibly high midichlorian count, some shit like that. Then you could make it science fiction. So I guess yes, it's magic. It's magical elements. It's elements that you do not explain with science. Does that work? Does that make sense?
In other words, it's a kind of magic.
It's a kind of magic, yeah. And let me tell you, I know that I will get shit for that. I know that there's people who will be annoyed about that, but I think at the end of the day, that's it. There's many trappings. But the second you get magic-y, and the thing is that and this thing I'm running right now, I have characters who are crossing dimensions, and as they're crossing dimensions, there are dimensions where there's technology, and there's dimensions where there's magic, and in this vision, this multiverse I've created, the supreme beings that may or may not exist, who may be gone but did exist at some point and have left signs of their culture, they bridged technology and magic at such a high level that the technology became as magic. And so their technology is astounding and no one understands it. And it is as magic. Right? So, I'm having a lot of fun because then I get to have stories with, wizards and laser guns. I mean, it's kind of Star Warsy in that respect, I guess. Maybe that's why I like Star Wars so much, because it's space wizards, space sorcerers. But yeah, it's magic, man. I mean, let's play a game, right? Movies, are they fantasy or are they science fiction? Highlander, fantasy or science fiction?
Well, by your definition, fantasy.
I think it's fantasy as well.
Yeah, because there
there's
really is
explanation for
no
it.
mechanical
Yeah.
explanation of anything, so it really
Yeah.
wouldn't be science fiction.
And what's hilarious is when they made the sequel, they wanted to science fiction it up, but if anything, they made it even more fucking fantasy. I mean, they're bringing Sean Connery back from the dead, and he's talking about using your life force of power in a penultimate moment. I mean, Jesus. Aliens, science fiction or fantasy?
Well, I mean, there's nothing magical about the alien, so I would have to say science fiction. I was trying to think of the actual abilities of the alien.
I totally agree with you.
I would say science fiction.
It could be science fiction, and in fact, I'll give this to Ridley Scott. His prequels have gone out of their way to explain that the xenomorph is a scientifically created thing. There were many versions. There was trial and error. And at the end of the day, an angry robot made them to punish the human race. Makes total sense. I don't have a problem with that. If anything, Ridley Scott succeeded in science and making sure his universe was like super scientific, whereas George Lucas could not. Right? Other movies. Let's say I'm going to give you a hard one. Well, Lord of the Rings is fantasy. We know that, right? But I'm trying to think of other movies where like you might have like trouble kind of sussing it out. Do you remember the movie Bright with what was his name with Will Smith?
Vaguely.
Yeah,
I vaguely remember. Yeah,
absolute fantasy. Why? Because there's magic, there's wands, there's unexplainable, right? There's no science to it. They threw in some orcs just for good measure to make you understand that it's science, or that it's fantasy, right? But then, like, I'm trying to think of some movies that you'd have a hard time with. I mean, can you think of any that like bridge the gap where you have to? All right, Fifth Element, right? Fifth Element is a movie that, honestly, if you sit down and think about it, it's almost fantasy, right?
Almost, but it's not because everything has an explanation.
Except, who is the evil lord? How does he destroy everything? What is the thing that comes out of her, the superpower?
I mean, he is depicted as a humongous life form.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, they're like, it'll be death forever everywhere. Like, Lilu is basically like a magical being.
Listen, for all we know, the death planet is just a talking asteroid. A big enough asteroid hits the planet, it is death for everyone, right? I mean, to dive into that for a second, Ian Holmes says darkness forever, but does he mean for the entire universe?
Yeah,
or for
the thing.
Earth?
If it's for the
Earth
whole,
is going to be wrecked.
If it's for the whole universe, it borders on fantasy. If it's just planet Earth, an asteroid would do that.
Yeah, I mean, literally, let's be honest. If you look at it the correct way, honestly, if you look at it the correct way, all that the actual fifth element, the being, is a way to stop an asteroid. That's all she does. She doesn't actually annihilate it. She just stops it, and then it goes cold.
Hold up. I'm looking to see a list of movies that might be fantasy. No, I don't want best fantasy. I want might be fantasy.
No, what you want to search for is movies that blur the line between fantasy and science fiction.
Oh, you know what? Supernatural. Supernatural movies are fantasy. Like, that's the other thing. Like, a Poltergeist. Fantasy. Why? Fucking ghosts, man. That shit's fantasy. Right?
Sure.
What's the other one?
But that's magic. That's magic. That's
that's the magic, right? But I mean,
that's not really blurring. That's not a hard one to call.
I know, but a lot of people are like, no, Supernatural's not fantasy. It's supernatural. Be like, supernatural is fucking fantasy.
I would suspect that most people. Most people wouldn't call Poltergeist horror or science fiction. Or sorry, they wouldn't call it fantasy or science fiction. They'd say it's a horror movie. Yeah. But if you said, but would you classify it as a fantasy or science fiction? Most people are not going to say science fiction. Science fiction is pew-pew lasers. So they'll still fall on your side.
I mean, there you go, man. Pew-pew versus wands. This list is terrible. My God. Yeah, you have to think about it. So that is I guess my starter answer for him, because at the end of the day, there are volumes somewhere written on the nature of this stuff. I mean, English lit people love to argue about shit like this. The first Tron movie. I'd almost make the argument to some degree the first Tron movie is fantasy wearing science fiction trappings. You know, he gets
Well, you can't really make that argument, though.
Well, because he gets warped into the game, and he's with all these people, and he's and the thing is, like, he's in another.
Okay, wait. Well, we don't actually know that they're people, or is it the representation being anthropomorphized for him? You know, we don't really know what that is.
Well, yeah,
because
if they're people,
what we might be seeing is a glorified GUI.
If it's just the way he is. And I mean, this is where you get into the weird science fiction. If it's how he's perceiving it, then it might be science fiction. But if there's people in the computer, then it's fantasy.
Yeah, they're all just clippies.
God, man.
Because they are limited to what they can do. It's not like they really break programming.
I'm looking to see, like if there... Yeah, I can't find a list of movies that might be fantasy.
Hold on, let me see if I can find something. Movies,
but like like Reign of Fire, like dragons, fantasy movie, man.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
You know, Dune is fantasy. It's space fantasy, but it's fantasy, right? I mean, you know,
well, yeah, I guess okay. Well, hold on.
His magical powers. Okay, so here's the thing. In the book, his magical powers go way beyond the shit in the movies. Like he becomes like a fucking wizard.
Yeah, but he's genetically engineered
to have magical powers.
Yeah, the Kwisatz Haderach is the result of genetic engineering through breeding.
But how does he have those powers? They are magical.
Well, because they've been taking the spice and doing things to themselves to make the powers.
The spice is the fucking magic fairy dust.
Listen, spice is HG. What is it called? HGB? No, HGH. What's human growth hormone?
Okay,
it's human growth
hormone.
No.
I'm gonna use a fucking reference from Dusk Till Dawn. They look like They look like maniacs. Like maniacs don't explode in sunlight.
But you said if they have an explanation, then it's not fantasy anymore. There is a scientific explanation.
Yeah, I know, but
whether you think it's bullshit or not is a secondary.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When you have an explanation that's basically, we have relabeled magical fairy dust, and we are now calling it the spice.
Hold on, because to take Star Wars, the reason midichlorians are bullshit is because they came out of nowhere. They spent 3 movies saying you can just harness this if you're already sensitive to it. Dune is, no, it's all spice, baby. It's spice all day, all night.
Okay,
you gotta fucking spice it up.
Here's the official line on what Dune is. Dune is considered primarily science fiction. However, it is said to blend heavy fantasy elements in. So there you go. It's science fiction with heavy fantasy elements.
Well, okay.
It features mystical, quote-unquote, magical seeming elements like prophecy
Seeming. No, I'm just what I'm saying is I don't disagree in the macrocosm of it.
Yeah.
But using your definition, there is a scientific explanation provided.
They try. I mean, and listen. When I watch Dune,
I would link it to Frankenstein because they don't get into the specifics, but baby, that's spice. That's some powerful shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When I watch Dune, I don't think my gut reaction that it is science fiction, right?
Yes.
But when you take a step back and think of it for a second, you're like, oh, it's fantasy, isn't it?
Well, it does beg the question of what is this spice shit doing?
The Porco Rosso, which is a studio. Is it Ghibli? There's a Ghibli. I should say
Ghibli, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Studio Ghibli movie.
I think some people say Ghibli, whatever.
Yeah, where a man gets cursed with having a pig face. Most of that movie is not fantasy. Most of that movie is just a fucking plane race.
But the central character is a fantasy.
The fact that he has been cursed with a pig face is fantasy. It's fucking magic.
Yeah. There's no explanation that it's because they blended pig DNA with his, like Dune tries to. That's just you've been cursed, and when you're cursed, it's magic. It's fantasy.
I've been watching Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, really enjoying it. And I love the way that they managed to make giant fucking kaiju monsters science fiction. Like, and they're talking about radiation levels and migrations and predatory behavior. And like, at no point do I watch that show and go, giant monsters, fantasy. Not at all. I'm like, oh yeah, no, there's there's all this science behind it, and they're investigating this stuff and these creatures in the earth, and it's like, yeah.
Well,
oh, by the way,
the one thing that they're going to run into a problem with there.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they won't because they're just not going to do it. Is much of Godzilla, even the old movies, is science fiction based. Much of it, that a lot of the villains are a spawn of Godzilla, or like Hedorah is the pollution monster, that type of stuff.
Or Mecha Godzilla is a robot. Yeah.
Yeah. The one where it completely shatters into a million pieces is Mothra. Not Mothra herself, but the twins, the little mini twins that psychically talk to her all the time. That shit has no explanation. And therefore, it turns the whole thing into fantasy because that's magical. There is no wait, let me look this up. I don't believe they've ever tried to explain the Mothra twins.
Isn't that just psychics, though? I mean, psychic shit is how you get around that. Where you're like, well, it's psychics,
no.
man.
Okay,
because it's like,
hold on.
X-Men. There's all these powers, but they always try to keep it like, well, these are their powers, but they're mutations.
But they're not just psychic. They're tiny little things. They could fit in your hand.
Oh,
they're a race of fairies.
I didn't know that.
Did you not know that they're tiny?
No, I did. I thought they were people.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, they are, but they're very, very small people.
They're very, very little people.
Very, yeah. I mean,
if you've got fairies, then yes, it turns into fantasy.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure.
Maybe it's just fantasy elements. I don't know.
Hold on,
you
how
can blend
tall are the Mothra twins?
They're called the Mothra twins.
Well, they're not. They're princesses, but I call them the Mothra twins. Small beauties are tiny priestesses or fairies.
There you go.
They're actually,
fairies. Yeah, but you know what? Okay, but outside of the larger, genre, Monarch Legacy of Monsters is doing a really good job of making it be more scientific.
They are 1 foot tall.
Hey,
they're
you know what?
1
hey, listen.
foot.
There are sex dolls out there that tall.
I agree, but they're not alive. So since these are living psychic beings that are 1 foot tall, that's magic.
Yes, it's magic.
It's magic.
I'm going to tell you this story because my wife does not listen to this show. We said
here we go.
that fucking Monster Hunter was a movie for like teenage boys.
Yeah.
I told my son about the movie, and my son was like, "We should watch that." And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "That sounds really cool." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And then I forgot about it, and we and a week or two went by. We watched some other movies. And the other day, I was like, "Hey man, it's movie night. What do you want to watch?" And he's like, "I want to watch that movie with that soldier that gets transferred to the other world, and they fight the monsters." And I was like, "Monster Hunter?" And he's like, "Yeah, I want to watch that." And he was like hell bent. And we went to watch the movie that night, and my wife didn't know we were watching. And I was like, "Hey honey, we're going to watch that Mila movie, Monster Hunter." And she rolled her eyes so hard. I thought she was going to fall off the couch. And the joke it was that I told my son, I was like, "Watch your mom. I'm going to tell her we're going to watch this Mila movie, and you're going to watch your mom dismiss the evening in about 2 seconds." And that's just what she did. She was like, "I'm going to go upstairs and take a shower. I'll see you guys later." It was just me and my son watching.
Your wife
Monster
does
Hunter.
not like Mila, that's for sure.
No, she does not. But my son, however, really enjoyed the movie. Loved it. Thought it was great.
I'm sure.
Didn't question any of it. He had a rollicking good time. He was bummed there wasn't a sequel. Whereas my wife said to me,
"Me too."
She stayed for the first 5 minutes because I begged her to stay just to see Ron Perlman. And her exact words were, "Did they forget half of his makeup from Beauty and the Beast?" And I was like, you know what? That was my reaction as well. I was like, that's funny. And then she fled. But Monster Hunter, fantasy movie. I mean, I told you when we watched it that I felt it was a fantasy movie, and I thought it was nice that it was a fantasy movie. A fucking ship that travels across the desert sand, dragons, magical towers. Yes, they tried to bridge it to the modern world, but you know what? Fucking fantasy. So, that's my rule of thumb. If there's magic, it's usually fantasy. Yeah.
Works for me.
I mean,
well, I'm the only member of the panel on this, so I defer to you.
No, but you know what? You have your own spidey sense with this shit.
No, but I don't disagree. Unlike the first 40 minutes of the show, I don't disagree with you on this. I agree beginning to end. That makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, because you know what? What is it? Dragon Slayer. You know the movie Dragon Slayer?
Of course I know.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the name of the guy in it, but yeah, Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer is a really fun
Peter McNeil?
movie. Yeah, who plays the lead guy.
Yeah.
I love that movie because it is fantasy. It is so fantasy. There's a wizard. There's also, but I remember when I was a kid and I watched that movie, I was thrown by the way that they handled some of this. The fantasy felt so much more corporeal. You know, like the wizard knew that he was dying, so like, you know, he had to figure out a way to make it so that he could be in the right place at the right time. When the dragon died, it was just so meaty and like it was all over the place. Like there's a fascinating thing when you get like a really good fantasy movie where they physicalize the magic of it. You know, like Harry Potter. Harry Potter, it feels it's very it's so fantastical. You don't feel it, like it's in the air. You know, people get hit by a curse and they drop dead. Like, you know, there's a problem with fantasy where it ends up feeling very I don't know, very removed. You know, like you don't feel the corporeal
Well, the
nature
rules
of it.
can be nebulous or non-existent.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean,
They don't feel the need to explain many things.
Yeah, I mean, there's another thing. No one's dead for sure, but honestly, in science fiction, they're getting to the point where you can clone people. So maybe at some point, magic and technology do meet up. But yeah. I mean, you know, it's good that we talked about this too, because one of the movies we watched for this review, there was a question in my mind of whether or not this was a fantasy movie or a science fiction movie. And it's interesting because I think the argument can be made for both.
Well, let's be honest, both movies were fantasy movies. It's just that one was the director's fantasy and the other was the fantasy within the film.
Oh, but you know what I mean, yeah.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah. I'm just saying. They're both fantasy films.
Oh, man. Well, there you go. I hope that answered the question. God, you know, I'm just
I think it did.
Now.
Yeah.
I think just trying to figure out movies that are definitely, you know, that bridge it, that like make it difficult to figure out what they are. But I think you just have a gut reaction to a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Lost Boys, fantasy movie. Why? Fucking vampires.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know, like, and I think that's the thing is that you don't. I think you said yourself, like very often horror people are not, you know, don't sit there and go, it's horror, it's not fantasy. I'm like, yeah, but the horror. There is horror fantasy, and like you said, there is science fiction horror. Right, because it's where the horror comes from, right? So like, oh god, the one with the witches, Jesus, what's it called? The Italian one.
Suspiria?
We just watched the remake. Suspiria, fantasy,
yeah,
it's a fantasy horror, right? But like, you know, I honestly, because it just came to my mind. You know that movie Splice, where they genetically make that woman, that creature, science fiction horror, you know, because they make this creature and then it gets out of hand. You know, it's like you call it horror, but at the end of the day, horror is fantasy or sci-fi. It's just how it makes you feel that makes it horror. Yeah. Man, you know what? I tried to convince my son to watch Equilibrium over watching Monster Hunter, and he picked Monster Hunter over Equilibrium. And I showed him trailers, and he still went for fucking Monster Hunter. But you know what? He's an adolescent kid. He liked it. He didn't question any of this shit. There was dragons and fighting and this and that. And, you know, like, it's funny when you and I watch a movie and we sit there and go, well, this is a shortcoming of the movie. And then my son watches and he's like, yeah, this is awesome. And I'm like, there you go. It's like how differently we see things. You know, whereas, like, you remember how I think we both thought that the training montage went pretty quick. Like, they suddenly had all this technology and she knew how to do shit. You know, like they give her the grapple hook thing and suddenly she was like amazing at it, right? And like as an adult, you look at that and you go, this is too soon. This is too quick. You know, there needed to be like another day or something. Whereas my son is just like, yeah, grappling hook is awesome. You know, like he's 100% on board. All go. And that's why I think, you know, there are these movies that we watch that that the adolescent me loves them, even as the adult me is like, this isn't done right. What's the other one we watched that was like that? I don't even know. We've watched so many. Jesus Christ.
We have watched quite a few movies.
We have watched many movies. We're going to run out of... Well, that's not true. We're not going to run out of movies. There's too many movies.
No. I have like 14 already. Actually, I've got closer to 30 ready to go.
Oh, well, there you go. Excellent.
And that's beyond.
Oh, wait.
This
And
month.
did you say on the air, like, what the theme of the month is?
No. So the original idea, Lando had suggested watching kaiju movies, which is a good idea.
It was just an idea, yeah.
However, I've decided to move that off a few months so that we can have it be Kaijun.
Because
that's
what it was, Kaijun. And honestly, that is really good. Kaijun is good.
Yeah. So Kaijun is coming. I don't know what May's going to be.
Kaijun is coming.
Kaijun is coming.
That should be a T-shirt right there.
That
Jesus
should be a T-shirt
Christ.
too. Yeah, Kaijun is coming. I mean, I probably could make that shirt before we actually get to it, so it could be ready. But in any event, at some point, well, because we watched the first movie we watched this month, I think you said, "Well, we just have all sleaze movies now." I'm like, "That's fine. I've got plenty of sleaze movies." So this is just April sleaze.
You know what? Just on this topic of sleaze, I realized the first time we watched the movie where I actually got kind of caught off guard by like how good looking somebody was. You know the one we watched with the woman who owns the porn magazine?
Yeah.
Which one was that called?
That's Delirium.
Was it Delirium? Yeah.
Yeah, Delirium. Portrait of Gloria.
I will say, when that woman walked out, like, naked for the first time in that movie, it did catch me for a second. And I was like, that is a really good looking woman. And it's funny because like, especially when she's like, oh God, when she's in like the see-through silk thing, I was like, oh my God. I was like, you know what? It's crazy that she didn't want to do nudity anymore, and I totally get it, but they still managed to get as much of it in the movie as they did. And she is aesthetically a beautiful woman. So, no, I listen. I like pretty girls. I like lovely women. I'm on board for all of it. So I'm looking forward to sleazy April. I don't know. There's no cute way to say that, right? Sleaze April. April sleaze. I don't know.
April showers bring nude flowers. I don't know.
Jeez, April showers enough is God.
Yeah.
So yes, that's the theme.
And I know for a fact, speaking of showers,
Yeah.
I had to do the subtitles for one of the movies we'll be watching. It did mention golden showers, so it sort of fits in. I don't think there's any in the movie, but there is a point where somebody says the two words, and I'm like, okay, got it. Had to make sure I spell checked that because for some reason the original thing confused L with I, so I had to do a lot of corrections, but I'm pretty sure I got it all. It's fine. Took me about 45 minutes, but I was talking to my mom, and she was going on about shit that I don't care about because I don't live in New York anymore. So I was able to just do that in the background. No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
That's the theme. Yeah, and one of the movies we're going to review tonight isn't technically a sleaze film, but there is full frontal female nudity, therefore it counts. So,
hey, you know what? I love a movie that goes both ways. You know what?
True.
Like, I don't need the male nudity, but be fair.
It's a good point. On that note,
just give me the essence of the thing, the juice, you know.
Oh, here you go.
You shut the fuck up!
Thanks for killing my mom.
whoop, shit, sorry. Whatever, I'll fade it out. I accidentally clicked on the wrong thing, so I jumped
Oh
over.
my
That's
God,
okay.
you ruined it.
We got the. Oh, you know what? Fuck it, I don't care. Screw it.
Oh man.
Thanks for killing my mom.
No problem. See, white girls bore me.
You can eat shit and die, Colonel.
I missed
Yeah,
that.
see, I can always
missed
just hit the
that.
button. Yeah, that's the classic. I can also just do like.
Oh man.
I gotta find out how to layer those somehow, and I don't think there's a way to do it, which is a goddamn shame. But
I've been waiting for you.
So
I see you still haven't got penetrated.
no, I can't. I have not found an isolated thing of that, unfortunately. So she's got too much background shit. So sadly.
Here we
So we watched 2 movies this week, and before we got into the sleaze theme, the really the unifying part of these 2 movies is that they're both monochrome. They're both in black and white. Both low-budget films, although one far more low-budget than the other, and both, ironically, passion projects in their ways for their creators. But one is a name that as soon as I say it, there's going to be a subset of people who are going to know exactly what the passion is of the filmmaker. And I will say that name. It is Russ Meyer, who has a very specific career featuring very specifically built women. And you had asked me if the movie we watched is the best of what he's made. And I said, I would have said yes.
Was the best.
Okay. It's indicative in that if you want to see stacked women, yes, it's indicative. As far as, the quality, this is generally regarded as his best movie.
So I gotta say, you know what? Well, you've already reviewed this movie, so we don't need to get into like the nitty gritty of it. We could just talk about our.
It was a while ago,
actual,
but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's name it. It's 1965's Faster Pussycat Kill Kill by Russ Meyer.
Yeah, and I've heard about this movie so many times.
Everybody has. Yep.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. I don't like Varla. I get up front. I don't like Varla. I don't particularly find Varla attractive. And I think that is maybe one of the things that I don't dislike the movie, let's be very clear. But it ruins some of the shine for this movie because I've heard people go on about Varla like she is some kind of fucking sex goddess. I know people who idolize that character, and while it is,
you and I both know an illustrator who loves Varla.
Yeah,
and you already know who it is.
Yeah, and the thing is, while I can appreciate her dimensions, I find the character obnoxious and was glad they hit her with a car. And maybe that is the I guess the good writing of the movie, that they had the bad character be bad and then they hit them with a car. But like, I found her obnoxious. And I didn't know why people were following her. You know what I mean? Like, she had these 2 women that were like with her, and I understand one of them was in love with her, but the other one was kind of like, why are you there? Like, I'm surprised that the blonde stayed for as long as she did. Because Violet doesn't seem like a particularly nice person to be around. Like, she seems like a bitch. I'll be honest with you. I was put off by Varla, and yeah. But beyond that, I thought that the movie was adequate. It's just that, and this is the problem with where I live now. Faster Pussycat Kill Kill is a movie that tries to titillate you with the possibility. Ooh, look at these busty women. Oh, look at the way they're dressed. Like, it tries to tease you out. The problem is, I'm at the odd end of the culture from this movie. I have maximum porn at my fingertips at all times. I have seen worse things than this movie can even dream of. So for me, the titillation doesn't work. Jesus, you know what? I have Coop. Coop's taken the titillation and gone full on into the tits, right? So the teasing, sexy nature of the movie is lost on me. So what it really becomes is a movie about 3 bad women that think they can pull one over some bad guys, and they all end up wiping each other out, except for the 2 good people who do get away. And in that respect, it's kind of it becomes more of a generic movie to me because I've seen so many versions of this. I acknowledge that it is a source, and that it is important because it is a source. But outside of a sort of, film history interest, I wasn't amazed. I wasn't blown away. I was just kind of like, okay. I've seen it now. I don't need to see it again. You know, like it didn't it didn't touch me. I'll tell you that. And I had fun watching it, but I mean, like Varla. I mean, Varla was just the worst. I mean, yeah, and the whole. I think I said this during the we were watching it. She does the whole painted on eyebrows thing, and that is such a such a mood killer for me. I was with a girl at one point who did their eyebrows that way, and the thing that was fucked up is that when they didn't have their makeup on, they had no eyebrows, and like people with eyebrows look weird. Have you noticed that? Like, there's like a
Oh, sure, yeah.
the second you lose your eyebrows,
you're used to it. Yeah, because it's like a social cue thing.
Yeah, it's like suddenly you get very Cro-Magnon without eyebrows. So whenever I see like the drawn on eyebrows, it's an instant put off for me. So like the fact that Varla's got these like very, very painted on eyebrows, I was like, oh god, miss. And what's sad is that I actually found photographs of that woman without all the makeup on, and she's a very lovely lady. You know, it's just that in this movie, like the way that they make-upped her, plus her personality, you're just like, oh god, Varla, hit her with a truck. Come on, somebody hit her with a truck. I mean, and in that respect, like I said, maybe it is that she is a great villain foil. The fact that she is bad and you want her to die, that's the point. They did it right. But outside of Varla, it is today kind of a very run-of-the-mill movie. I totally get why Quentin Tarantino loves this kind of movie, because, you know, this is kind of his thing. You know, like this story-wise, it, you know, like a bunch of bad people try to do a bad thing to other bad people, and you know, everybody dies. I mean, this is essentially True Romance, right? Like True Romance isn't directed by Tarantino, but he did write the script. You know, what's the end result of that movie? You got a bunch of cops and mob shooting each other up, and then, you know, just our in love couple barely get away, right? I mean, if anything, like you can really see the line from like True Romance to Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, especially since what's her name? Oh god, the blonde. What's her name?
Oh, Rosanna
Patricia Arquette.
Patricia
Arquette. I mean, she is like the Russ Meyer build in that movie. The way they build her up. I mean, she is a Russ Meyer lady, right? I mean, so yeah. I mean, anybody who's interested in film history, you should definitely watch Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. But as like, you know, as a movie, I feel like because of time, because of the access that we have, it's lost all its bite. Unless you are specifically into that, you know, that type of woman. But even then, you know, there's porn. What are your thoughts? You've seen it again.
I mean, as you said, I've reviewed it before. I think the two things, yeah, if you're into film, it is a very influential movie. I think it is. If you've heard about Russ Meyer and what he's into and you want to see one of his movies, and you're only going to watch one, this is probably the best one. It's certainly one I think is the best of the... I haven't seen them all, but the other ones... okay.
I mean, listen, if you like to be teased, then this is a movie for you.
Now, I'm going to disagree with you a bit on that, but I'll get to that in a second. All the other Russ Meyer movies that I've seen 3 others. I've seen Super Vixens. I can't remember the other 2. The other 2 are what you're talking about, where it's like, okay, this is just skin. And I'm not into waistlines that look like somebody put 18 belts around a woman's center and pulled them all as tight as possible. I've never been into that figure. It looks unhealthy and sickly to me. So that has no effect on me.
Part of the reason it looks that way is because they've got belts and things on to make it look
no, I know.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. But there are actually women who've done it so much that their bodies have changed, and it's disturbing.
Oh, yeah.
So the other movies feel like just that, and if you're into that, you'll find better for free online. This movie is not just that to me, even if I don't find Varla to be attractive as a woman per se, but I like the character a lot.
But like as a villain, I get she. Listen,
as a super bitch, she's awesome.
She is a super bitch villain. I dislike her, and they kill her, and she is the villain. And like I said, if the intent is there, they did a good job of it. I don't like her.
The main thing with this is very similar to The Uninvited. There are no good characters except for two people. They're the ones that live. That's it. Everybody else is scum of some variety.
Yeah,
there's
honestly,
some kind of flawed, deeply flawed person.
You know, the only person I felt bad for was the I can't forget her name.
The muscle brother?
No, the blonde. Well, I felt bad for the muscle brother. But here's the thing: the muscle brother, I get the sense he had done some bad things and he didn't realize what he was doing.
And the blonde, I think the blonde was the least scummy of the three, but you could also tell she was amoral. She didn't care about anything but herself.
Yeah, but I kind of liked her in the sense that she was like, hey, I'm here for a good time. I'm not here for all this kind of...
Well, okay. Let's put it this way. Had she tried to free the girl and said, go, and they'd re-caught her, I would be more sympathetic towards her.
Yeah. But
the fact that she didn't do that tells me that she was, and that's why you said, why is she hanging out? Because Varla is a force of nature, and she knows that she can bully her way into a lot of free shit. That's why she's with them.
Yeah.
And Varla, the other girl's into Varla, and the two of them seem to maybe, I don't know if there was a relationship or not. It's unclear.
Or she just used it to pull her along. Yeah.
Yeah, something. But she's just like, okay, these two are no threat to me because they're way too involved in each
honestly,
other. So
listen. When the what do we call him? The slow brother. When the slow brother gives that one girl the knife, where he's like, "This is your knife. I'll give you the knife."
Yeah.
I was like, that's probably for me one of the most oddly amusing parts of the movie, because like
it is.
You kind of see it coming, but you don't.
You very much see it coming.
But then when he looks at the knife and he looks at her, and I'm like, oh my god! I was like, you're gonna stab this woman.
Yeah.
So you don't the extent to which he does it. I mean, he just gives it to her at that point.
I mean, he's so strong. He should have just gone right through her.
Oh my god! I mean, listen. The scene where he holds the car back, and that's the thing is there are little things in this movie that I was like, okay, this is interesting. I wish there was more of things like that. But it's the idea, I get the idea that this movie did stuff like this early on. It's very influential. There's people who watched it who then went on to do other things. It's just that, like I said, historically it's important. But I enjoy the stuff that came from it more.
Sure. But there are people who... I know there are people for whom the tease... is more enticing than the reveal.
Yeah, they like to tease.
So, for those people who are perhaps into dominating women of a certain shape, you may get more out of this than simple historical film value. I think it's a fun movie to watch at least once.
Varla doesn't hold a candle to the three vampires from Three the Hard Way. As far as I'm concerned.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
For me personally, the vampires from Three the Hard Way. That's the stuff of sexy nightmares.
Let's do some level setting. This movie is in no way as good as Three the Hard Way. Okay, in no way. I'm not comparing them at all. Three the Hard Way is a far superior film.
There are people that'll tell you that Varla is like for them like a high watermark of of sexy.
And that's fine for them.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are. There are no doubt people who will say, well, you and I both know. Well, you certainly live with one of these people who would say, why would you watch a movie with Mila in it? They're all garbage. So people have different tastes about different things. That's fine. I agree with you that from a sexual appeal standpoint, Varla is nothing compared to, I agree, Delirium, certainly, or many other of the Italian films we've watched. Jesus Christ, the girlfriend from Blackula, I was entranced by in about 15 seconds in ways that really was.
Listen,
like she hit me like the thunderbolt, man. That was all over.
The three vampires from Three the Hard Way.
Yeah, no, in those terms, I agree.
Those three, yeah.
But that's all personal taste. That's a wide spectrum of everything.
Listen, when it comes to the intricacies of what turns you on, what fascinates you, you like, it's so individual. And honestly, it gets very private because there's a lot of people out there who I don't think want to go on about all the things that actually do it for them.
Sure.
And there's a lot of weird things that do it for you, But Violet did not do it for me. As a movie, I did not I did enjoy it. I did enjoy watching it and watching it with a friend. Right? I'm glad that I saw it once. I don't need to see it again. I've seen it.
Yeah.
It was an entertaining ride. I'm glad that Varla got hit by a truck.
Yeah. I think it's worth watching once. If you've ever been even mildly interested in it, watch it.
And honestly,
It has this charm of its time to it too, which is kind of funny.
But I mean, like her kung fu grip karate move is also hilarious. She knows how to fight the same way that Kirk does in the original Star Trek. You'd be like, oh, credit chop.
This is what I mean about, it is absolutely of its time.
Yeah.
Where, the way the music is basically slammed into your face full bore with no subtlety whatsoever. There's lots of that type of stuff. So if you can't take that, don't bother. I don't think either of us, I'm not saying this is essential viewing that you must see before you die, but I think it's a fun movie to watch once. And if you do want to see elements of things that then became present in other movies, Tarantino was writing a remake of this. I remember him talking about it. It just never went anywhere. But I would really be fascinated on what his version. I think he would have made a better movie.
Yeah, you would have to change this to make it work today.
I agree, and that's why I think Tarantino should have remade this. I mean, maybe he still will, but I think he might have made a very good version of this movie.
Who would you cast as Varla?
Well, I mean, look, I don't think. Now, some people may disagree with this opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think that the people that have to be in the new movie have to represent in any physical way any of the old ones. You could put Uma Thurman in the Varla role, and I'd be fine with it.
I had someone pop into my head as soon as I thought what I would want to remake, who I would want as Varla.
All right, hold on. You know who I actually would pick?
Okay.
Salma Hayek.
Oh, wow. You went in a very different way. I thought it was Charlize Theron.
Sure. That's what I'm saying. It could be anybody.
Yeah, man, Salma Hayek. Yeah, okay.
Salma Hayek has a little bit of the physicality. And also, she could do action roles. I mean, I've seen her do stuff.
No, and she doesn't mind Tarantino obsessing about her feet. We know that.
No.
She put them in his mouth.
Yeah, that's right. She certainly did. And that's probably another reason he'd want to cast her, because then he would somehow show up. He would be the old man in the wheelchair, and Varla would tempt him to let them have lunch by putting her fucking foot in his mouth. You know that. I mean, come on, we already know that.
God.
No, you know what? Actually, I'll tell you exactly what the scene would actually be. You know where she's showering in the water over and over?
Yeah.
We wouldn't see her from the top. We'd see her from the bottom.
We'd just see her feet.
Yeah, we'd see her soaping and letting water run off her feet. And that's how he would do it. So, yeah,
for like
absolutely.
20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, but Charlize Theron could be the blonde. Or you could switch them around. I mean, honestly, I would put Lucy Liu into the Italian with quotes around it woman, but don't make her Italian. Maybe make her Italian. I don't care.
I've never seen Salma Hayek play bad. So I guess that's my problem. Is I don't.
Yeah, but she could. Well, yes, you have. From Dust Till Dawn.
She did. Yeah, Dust Till Dawn. Yeah, I know. The problem is that
the movie we're talking about. She's not.
I know, but
good.
then she goes. I know. The problem is she goes monster so quickly. You don't really get.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it is her under the makeup though. So yeah, she can.
Oh, is it? Yeah, well, I wonder if
I think so.
Is.
I'm pretty sure.
You'll have to look it up.
In Dusk Till Dawn makeup. Let's see if it says. I think it is. Well, this is.
Yeah, did she put that giant fucking like snake thing on? It doesn't have to be her at that point.
It doesn't.
Really.
It doesn't. It's unclear. Oh boy, she does look good in that movie. It doesn't say. Yeah, I do like the fact that she improvised the dance, because with the snake there was no way to do it ahead of time. They couldn't rehearse it, so she basically had to work around the snake. Her acting partner determined her moves.
Well, snakes don't give a shit.
They truly do not. So, but yeah, it doesn't say. But I want to say it is, but maybe not. I mean,
hold on.
I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Unless you can find it. But that would be my first instinct of casting, just to kind of keep the physicality close. But I don't think that's a requirement. I think you could absolutely. You know what? Oh, I just thought of something really good though. If it was Salma Hayek, I would make the other dark-haired girl, Kat Dennings, as the love interest. that would keep the physicality
Jesus.
intact.
Yeah, I know. You know you like your Kat Dennings.
I do. Yeah, and then Charlize Theron as the blonde. Yeah, that would work. I would be fine with that.
Well, there you go. So that was
actually, if you really want to throw the casting a curve, make Charlize Theron the big tough sibling. Doesn't have to be a man.
That's true.
Make her the jacked sibling who beats the fuck out of everybody. In any event, that
you do feel bad for. I mean, that's the other thing. I do give the movie credit in that respect. That like they gave this guy some dimensions, and that you do realize he's done some bad shit.
Oh yeah.
But the
other brother says he didn't have to be like this. You made him like this. And
yeah.
Because he said because he killed the mother in childbirth, the father basically blamed him.
Yeah, always hated him. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's definitely he was not born that way. They never made an effort to make him any better than he was, and in fact, the father, I'm sure, used him to procure him young women to destroy. Yeah. So yes, that's what happened. Yeah. No, I'm not saying he's without sympathy, but he's not. That's why I said the movie is full of flawed characters in various states of flaw, except for the two characters who survive. Although even the older brother had to have some idea of what was going on.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of put up with it for a while.
The more normal brother that we were both sitting there going, why is he normal?
Yeah.
But you're right. You know, honestly, it is a weird question. If he knew that shit was going on and he did nothing, isn't he culpable?
I would say that it would be hard for him not to know what's going on. Now, whether he was in a state of denial because there was no way for him to get out, he thought, there's nuance to such situations. But he's not completely blameless. Yeah. I mean, really, the only blameless person is the young girl who gets taken hostage.
It's like, his Digit, or whatever we were calling her.
Well, we called her Gidget. Yeah, we called her Gidget. I don't remember what her name was, but yeah, that's it. So yeah, it's an artifact that for some people is worth seeking out, and whether you ever watch it a second time, probably a much smaller subset. But fun movie. And a time period kind of. It's before nudity was as widespread as it was.
Yeah,
this is how this guy got his kink into it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the thing is that from where I'm sitting historically, that does it the greatest disservice. Because where I am now, it's so accessible. So it actually weakens the movie. And I'm not the type of person that likes to be teased, I guess is what it is, too.
Yeah. And I find it charming to see the limits of, okay, how much, because I don't have any factual data to back this up.
Yes.
But I would be 99 point a bunch of nines sure that at some point Varla was bouncing around so much that she popped out of her shirt and they had to refilm it. Whereas today, that shirt would get ripped off in 2 seconds and you'd have a bare-breasted fight between a couple of these women.
My God. If the wrong director got this movie, there'd be some crazy lesbian
If an Italian director had gotten this in 1987, we know what would have happened in this movie.
God, yeah. I mean, if an Italian had made this movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, come on.
Oh, you know what? Fuck that. I want to go back in time and let a sleazy Italian director make this movie.
Let the guy who did Delirium do it and tell him nudity's fine. Go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he'd probably have a good time.
So I'm sure we all would. Yes. So, yeah. And that's really all there is to say about it. Because like you said, there's not much to say. It's a fairly simple movie. Yeah. There's no deep, layered narrative going on here. It's, it's going to appeal to some people more than others. But as an interesting time capsule movie that has echoed much later, yeah, it's a fun one and done for most people. And that's all I'd say about it. Whereas our second film, which I knew almost nothing about. Really. I happened to see the poster, and I thought it looked like an interesting poster. I read just the synopsis of it.
Yeah.
And thought, okay. And the reviews, even though they're generally good overall, there's some wild variation where some people found it very boring, which we'll get into why we understand that. But I was like, okay, why not? And it's a movie from 2025 titled Obex, Obex. And I was not aware it was a micro-budget film. Lando looked this up after we watched it. It's a micro-budget film.
Oh, yeah. Very low budget to the point of which that the main monsters from this movie are the same monsters from their other movie because they just reused the costumes.
Yes, and it
And
is
they just
it is a
they
Holy
used them
Trinity film.
Slightly differently.
This is a Holy Trinity film in that it's writer, director, star, which
It's trouble.
many times
He's trouble.
can spell delightful train wreck. But in
Yep.
this case, is an exception where, much like Faster Pussycat, this is clearly a passion project, but of a better caliber.
I really only had one problem with this movie. I did feel that it took too long to get to the fantastical elements that made the movie more interesting to me.
Well, as this is a fantasy film, why don't you explain what it's about?
Oh, God. So how to explain this? You want me to do the quick form? I mean, I can't do the juice the way you do. I can give you like a quick summation.
No, well, I mean, you explain it. If somebody said, well, I'm not going to watch it. What's it about? What's the explanation?
Right, so basically, you have a guy who's very shut off. He lives in he has a house. He's living in, where was he? In Virginia? Was he basically someplace with a lot
Baltimore.
of...
No, I remember it was Baltimore.
Yeah. A lot of cicadas. That is a theme through the movie. And so it's supposed to take place in 1987, and his job is basically turning people's photographs into computer art, but computer in 1987, which means it's all like dot matrix, making it with word processor, stuff like that. Very isolated, doesn't even open the door for the woman that buys his groceries, right? And he sees an ad that in one of the many computer mags of the day, which honestly, there's a sentimentality to this movie because it's like, I remember this time. So it's like, the computer magazines and yeah, just all the technology. I'm like, oh my God, it's like, I'd forgotten about some of this stuff. And he finds this ad in one of his computer mags for a game that basically says that they will put you in the game. And you have to, you send away for it, which this is not that weird. I think today we are very disconnected from the mail order nature of stuff that, like, as kids we did in like the 80s and the very early 90s. I mean, do you remember how much weird shit you did or did not want to order from like the back of magazines and comics and shit? And then sometimes it would come in like, do you remember the G.I. Joe? If you sent a certain number of I
remember the box tops.
The box
from
tops.
cereal things. Yeah.
The G.I. Joe, if you sent a certain number of box tops, you could get the fridge character. They would send you an action figure.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. From anything, basically any proof of purchase, like a UPC code was another big one.
Yeah, and you'd send it to them, and then you wouldn't hear anything for months, and you'd be like, I guess nothing will happen. And then one day in the mail, magically, G.I. Joe's The Fridge would show up, and you'd be like, oh my God, the universe is amazing! So I get that vibe. So he sends away for this thing, and he has his only companion is this dog whose name I forgot. And he loves his dog, and that
Sandy. How could you forget
Sandy?
Sandy?
Right. So him and Sandy are incredibly close, and Sandy is essentially his only real contact with other life. And the game comes in, and they ask him to basically talk about himself, the game is the letter for what is required, I guess, is that he needs to take a video of himself and send in some photographs, and so he does, and he sends it in, and then a short while later he gets the game. And now this guy already has weird dreams. You get to see what some of his dreams look like, and honestly, I thought the dream sequences were very well done. Like, this movie, it really knows how to like verge on creepy but sweet at the same time. Like, his dreams, they get creepy, but like at the same time they're like kind of like corny for a long. It's a lot of heart to this flick, I gotta say. So when the game comes in, he goes to play it, and it basically they put almost like a digital cut, they just put a cutout of him in the movie on the screen, and it looks like a game from the 1980s. Computer games look like shit. Honestly, that was probably cutting edge graphics to have this cutout of him moving around. And this is where at this point, I can tell you what happens. But what actually happens is up for interpretation. And that's why I like this movie, which he plays the game. He's kind of, whatever about it, and he shuts it down. At which point, you're not sure what exactly is going on, because the game might be a fantastical thing, or it might just be that he played the game and he walked away. But weird shit starts to happen in his house. So at first, what is it? His printer, man, that is one of the creepiest parts of this movie.
Yeah, the printer.
Is that he has this old dot matrix printer, and the printer starts going off in the middle of the night, and when he goes down, it just says, what does it say? Shed your skin.
Yeah, remove your skin. I'm inside.
Yeah. I'm inside. Yeah, and there's a dot matrix image of a video cassette. At which point he gets all freaked out and watches every video cassette he has. Mm-hmm. He has a lot of stuff he records off the television, which is also something very indicative of the day.
Yeah, it's 3 televisions stacked vertically.
Yeah. I mean, that's also strange.
It's strange.
And then it gets really weird because he's asleep, and a light demon comes out of his TV and abducts his dog. And the light demon effect is really well done.
Yes, it is.
For a low-budget movie. In fact, I tell you what, at no point... Actually, no, there's one point. There's only one point in this movie where I thought, this looks cheap. And it's when they did a close-up of the bones from the skeletons that attacked him. That I thought, those look like cheap bones.
Even the sound effect sounded like plastic bones. Strangely, they didn't try to get better sound, because they probably could have found it.
Whereas, nothing else, I never thought, at no point did I watch this movie and think, this has got a really low budget. Never. I thought that the light demon effect was so well done, it was better than monsters from high-budget movies. Jesus, you know what? Resident Evil should have just done some fucking light demons. Anyway, so the light demon comes out of his TV and abducts his dog. At which point, our hero wakes up and realizes the dog is gone, freaks the fuck out, because his dog is gone. His dog is very important. And he looks all over the house, can't find her, and he ventures into the woods across the street. And when he goes into the woods, eventually he finds something that I didn't realize what it was. Joe realized it right away. It was his computer. It was a computer that was sitting out in the woods, and it was working. And the demon face was on the front of it, right?
Correct. Yeah, the game logo, essentially, because he sees that when he first boots up the game, too.
Yeah, at which point our hero gets warped into the world of Obex.
Right.
Right? Because, I mean, there's no transition.
Oh, no. He just wakes up. He just suddenly is there.
Yeah, he's bearded. And then it becomes like a game. He goes to a shop, and the woman there is the woman who brings him his groceries, and she supplies him with equipment for his journey, and he goes on a journey, and he meets a companion, which is a
FLCL,
a guy with a TV. A guy. Yeah, I know, right? The guy with a TV for a head, and I thought that effect was well done. And honestly, he's so friendly that at first you're like, oh, this guy's totally gonna fuck him over, right? But no, he's just really, really friendly. He's actually an incredibly earnest, helpful character. And they start to travel together, and he takes him to find this car that's out in the middle of the woods. And at face value, none of it is incredibly it's not groundbreaking, but the fact that he's in this metaphoric fantasy world, it works really well. So when he finds the car and he goes, oh, my mom used to drive a car like this, and the TV guy's like, oh, ain't that a thing? And they start driving. It's like it's populated with elements of his memory. But I tell you what, the one really creepy part of this movie, because the light demon thing isn't creepy, it's well done. But the one really creepy part of this movie, and this is the part that Joe connects to Sleazy April, is that he's driving the car in the middle of the night through the woods, right? Through over fields and things like that. There's no roads, no lights. It's just the headlights. And all of a sudden, a naked woman comes running out of the darkness towards his car. And if you listen to the commentary, Joe and I both almost simultaneously were like, oh, this isn't good.
Yeah.
Because nothing good can come from a woman randomly running at your car nude in the middle of the night, especially in the woods. Like, nothing. And she falls down, and both of us were like little girls at that point. We were like, don't get out of the car. Don't get out of the car.
Yeah.
Just keep driving.
Stop. What are you doing?
Stop. Yeah. But, he gets out of the car. He goes over to see what's going on. He's looking at her, and he realizes that she's got all these, like, negative tattoos. And then he looks up, and a man comes running out of the darkness as well. And I was like, oh, no, this is getting worse. Also fully naked. And then they both just turn into skeletons.
Yep.
At which point he runs, or they stab him, and he calls for the guy to help him, but I'm pretty sure they get him back to the TV head guy, gets him back to the
the guy's basically sleeping. The TV guy's sleeping, and he's not hearing it. He's like, what's going on? And he comes out after he's already been stabbed, and he kind of gets him into the car.
Yeah, and he gets him, and they get him back to the shop, and at one point they ask him what heaven looks like for him, the TV head guy, which is honestly a really cute part of the movie, because the TV head guy says, well, I think heaven's a place where all the TVs go, where they don't have to, they just watch people for a while. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. And then the guy says that basically his version of heaven is going to the beach with Sandy, that's his heaven. So it's important because when they bring the main guy back to the shop, they're like, is there anything we can do for him? And then he kind of blinks, and all of a sudden he's sitting on this beach. And basically, he died in the game. Like, this is kind of the afterlife.
Yeah, there's game over text comes up, and that says continue.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's there without his dog. So he's like, fuck it, I'm going back. So he goes back, renewed, and they continue. Him and his TV-headed guy get back on it, and they go to the what is it? They're essentially going to the evil castle, right, to get the dog back. And this is where it gets nice and weird because they have this conversation over a campfire over how the TV-headed guy realizes that he used to be the main character's father's television, and that he watched him through the TV, and that his dad was a really good guy, which brings peace kind of to the main character. But then it gets weird because they fall asleep, and when they wake up in the morning, time has passed weird. So, like, the main character was, like, essentially buried in the dirt. So he has to, like, unbury himself. And when he goes and to the dark castle, he realizes that the TV-headed guy figured out the combination, possibly over many, many, many years. And he has died at the other side of the gate, which is how the main character gets in. At which point he gets into the evil castle, and shit just gets weird. I'm not really to describe it. There's a lot of bug-headed monster people, and which is probably like I think you said, it's probably just two guys that they just replicated over and over again. And his dog is dead, but then he's not dead, but then he sees his mom, and like all kinds of just weird shit happens. And then in a stroke of genius, when the main light monster shows up and our hero attacks him, it turns into a, what would you call it, like an 8-bit arcade game?
Yeah, it's basically like an old
RPG?
like Final Fantasy 1, 2, or 3, where it's an old school RPG with pixelated graphics.
Yeah.
And very simple, attack, heal, item, spell, whatever.
Yeah, and it shows him attack, and you see the hit points, and he kills it. At which point, I think it just transitioned, and he's sitting in front of the computer, and his dog is on the couch next to him, and he's like, "Oh, that was nice," and he kind of gets up, and he walks away, and then I think he goes to the dog, and he's like, "We're gonna go to the beach," and the end of the movie is that he takes Sandy to the beach, and he's sitting there, and he's happy. He's happy with his dog at the beach. Yep. But the big and here's the thing. I did enjoy this movie. I mean, I didn't realize it was as low budget as it was, but I was actually quite fascinated by what was going on and like the metaphor of it all. Because you can watch this movie and you can think, oh, you're seeing the inside of his mind as he plays this video game. You're seeing his interpretation, right? You're understanding how a person like this can possibly live in isolation like this when playing a game such as this gives him this, like, there's such a stimulation in what his mind is doing, what he's envisioning, right? Or he ordered a haunted game with a light demon and had to go into the universe of Obex to defeat the demon and get his dog back. Both of those are possible in this movie. And totally plausible.
Sure.
Like, that's the thing, is that neither of those is right or wrong.
Right.
It goes both ways.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the shit out of it. Does that was that a good enough description?
I think so. Yeah. I think you covered it.
Do you have anything to add to the proceedings?
No. I would. Everything you said is correct. I think the only thing that you pointed out, you wished it had gotten fantastical and weird earlier on. I think that was a limitation of budget, so I forgive that because I was not aware of how low budget this movie was until we looked at what it.
This movie is an hour and 30 minutes long.
Yes.
It doesn't get really weird until the 40-minute mark. I feel like it should have started getting weird around the half-hour mark.
And I think they couldn't.
I think that... Well, yeah, possibly the budget.
And that's the problem, is because if this was described as micro budget. Right now, normally I wouldn't know what micro budget would mean, except I'm friends with Lem Kabaczynski, so I have an awareness of it. And the 90-minute mark is to get it in theaters. And micro budget is generally under 50,000, in some case under 25,000. And so you have to make those decisions on where are we going to put the money. And as you said, even though only the second half of this movie is really fantastical, the plastic skeletons were very clear. You could see the limitations of the budget, which is fine. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, but you know what? The effect when the skeletons are coming towards the car with the flashing headlights, because he can't. It's really well done.
When the one pops up by the door, it's clearly a plastic Home Depot skeleton. When the bones collapse, they didn't even replace the sound effect, and it's plastic bones.
Now, but the joke of it is that in an hour and 30-minute movie on a micro budget, that was the only part that when I was watching the movie, I thought, well, that's kind of cheap. Yeah. At no other point did I think, this is poorly made. Like, the rest of it feels very well done.
I agree, but that's what I'm saying is I think the reason that you don't get anything really heavy, fantastical, is because there was not the ability to realize it. So what they do is they try to play up the disturbing atmospheric elements. The cicada sound is constantly in the background. You see them here and there. The printer, which is very effective, and all it is a printer. That's all it is.
But it is so creepy when that thing's going off in the middle of the night with that sound.
And I also like the fact that, because you were talking about how the fact that the woman who gets groceries, he never sees her. We then, once he's in the game, we see her, but I don't actually think we're seeing her at all.
No, because that's the other thing. She's luminescent. She's not fully there.
Well, not
because in the real world,
I think that he's completely made up what she looks like. He has no idea what she looks like.
Yeah, because he doesn't know. Yeah,
correct. So that's
why she's kind of like a luminescent look to her.
But all that is, I think that if it had literally just been him sitting there and they hadn't done other things, I think it would be too slow for most people. But you see what he does for work. Like, there's enough filling in there where it offsets it. But
they set him up. They set him up who he is, what his life is like,
Yes.
Yeah.
I
mean, a horror movie. Listen, a horror movie does this. They give you like a half hour of this is life and everything's fine, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, everything's going wrong.
Yeah, I would guess
I enjoy
that they wanted to do more and just didn't have the budget to do it. And so they prioritized
I enjoyed this enough that I want to watch their first movie, which apparently is also fucking weird.
Yeah.
Because it's two guys, and the one guy starred in this one, and the other guy who wrote and helps direct starred in the other. And the other one was described as like, was it if Mighty Boosh, if it was directed by Wes
Yeah,
Anderson?
yeah, it's an
like,
interesting
okay,
description.
You know what? I like Wes Anderson. I love the Mighty Boosh, so I was like, I want to check that out at some point.
Sure, yeah. I wouldn't have any problem watching that.
So, yeah, I mean, I like a movie that can maintain two narratives equally.
Yeah, and again, writer, director, star can be very, very bad. Very bad.
Can be trouble.
And in this case, it works out very well. It's got a very specific feel to it, where you can clearly kind of, as you said, there's the nostalgia element. The character feels off without feeling creepy off. He's just very, very isolated.
No, honestly, you know what? I had this sense that there was basically like a trauma in his life at some point.
Yeah.
That was the feel I got off of him, you know?
I agree. That's what I'm saying. Is it's in a lot of movies, a character like this would become an object of pity. And it never feels that way in this.
Yeah, but I don't pity him.
No, he feels like this is...
He seems content.
This life is working for him. He has everything he needs. And again, then it becomes an interpretation thing on whether whatever is happening in the video game is real or not. I, for myself, think that none of what happens in this is real. This is all... if you go back and some people, and this is not a put down, this is simply reality. There are people who are so young that they don't know a world where games had no real narrative. They've grown up in a world where video games are expected and provide a narrative. A story is there. You are playing through it or it is told to you. Whereas when Lando and I were very young, you would play a game that was literally nothing but the game mechanics. There were no stories.
No,
nothing.
Yeah, I still fill in a lot of shit
Well,
as is.
But the early Atari games.
Because you're used to it. That's what you did. Like
if you go back to
that's
something
how you played
like
games.
I don't remember what it was even called, but there was an Atari game where you had to get a guy in a parachute to land on a certain mark. That's it. That was the whole game.
Dude, Joust.
Yeah, or Joust.
Remember Joust?
Sure.
Where you were riding an ostrich and you were like spearing things and
Pitfall.
like, the box cover.
Pitfall was inferring Indiana Jones, but it didn't really have a story. It didn't. And that's the thing is
people love Pitfall.
This is where because he plays the game as, and this is another thing, we didn't really talk about this in the commentary, but he actually plays the game twice, depending on how you read it. The first time when he gets it, he's very disappointed. It's nothing. It's basically three objects on a screen, and he wins in 2 seconds. And the only gimmick is a pixelated version of him saying, "You have won," pop, 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 and that's it. And so that is the idea of, to me, the actual game has no story. It's a gimmick. He feels ripped off. And so what he does is he fills in the grandeur of the story. And that's what the movie, where the more fantastical elements are him playing the game again, but using his imagination to fill it in.
You see what his mind does with
it.
Yeah.
Or it's real. That's the other side, is this is all happening. It's a haunted game. Yeah. But I look at it as, if you play a game and there's no story, you have to make it up. And so you make it up. And that explains certain elements of it and makes it fit for me. But you could also look at it as it's a gimmick game because it's just getting the thing inside his house to take his dog. And there is a demon in there. And it is an awesome looking demon because of that light effect. Whatever they did to make that work, it works really well.
That effect works. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It does.
These are clever directors. Yep. I would love to see what these people... No, let me rephrase that. I would be hopeful that if these guys were given a real budget, they could do some fascinating shit.
Yeah, I would be curious what this same movie would look like with 5 times the money. Because I don't think you really have to change much of the story, but you could then embellish it with, more of the...
Well, you just make it more fantasy is what you do.
Well, you kind of ramp up the effects. You could probably put him into the game earlier and then have more of it because then you could realize the world better. You could start to play with genre within the game.
I'm more interested to know what they'll do next. Like, I don't need this movie remade. I think this movie was made exactly the way it should have been made. They made it the way they could with the money. It works for me. I don't want it remade. I now want to see what they're going to do next.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be remade, but I would be interested what they might have done differently. They might have done what you were looking for, which is get into the weird stuff faster. So,
yeah,
I don't know if there's any intent for that. I agree it doesn't need to be, but it would be interesting if somebody said, hey, we saw that movie you made, and, it's clear you didn't have the money you wanted. And if they were to say, we'd like it, we'd like to make it, we'd like to spruce it up a bit, would you be willing to remake it, and we'll give you the budget.
Let's make it better.
Yeah, but I do agree that what would be ideal is that they say, we see that you have some talent here. We're going to give you a real budget, and let's come up with something new that's not just a remake or a retread of what you did, or if it's a fusion or somehow, and see what you do. It happens too. So maybe that's what these movies are intended as, quasi-demo reels to get people interested. That's fine, if that works out. So... But yeah, honestly, this is a movie I would encourage. But again, it's sort of like, in a way, it is a good pairing with Faster Pussycat, because I can't recommend Obex to everybody, because you're going to have to sit there and wait a while before the things really start getting strange. And I did see a number of reviews saying it was slow and boring. And I wonder if those people ever made it to the 40-minute mark. Yeah. They may have given up. Because... to the wrong viewer, just trying to pull myself outside of my enjoyment of movies, I could see people saying, he's just fucking sitting there. What is this? There's nothing going on here. It's a guy and his dog, and he makes ASCII art. What am I watching? What? And there's bugs. Well, I don't like bugs either. What is this? And they give up. There's people have different attention spans. I could see somebody never making it to even the 30-minute mark on this thing.
No, I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is listen, this is art film. This is art film territory. It is. I think it's good art film territory.
It's borderline art film, but what it does require is the patience to allow the story to get to where it needs to go. You will have to be patient with this movie. Art film or not, and I think it is a borderline on what, because I don't know that it's quite... okay. Art film to me is one where you really have to strain with... the movie's challenging you a bit. I don't think this movie challenges anybody that much, except in terms of making you wait, which it does. You will have to wait.
Yeah, I mean...
But I agree, it's you and I are on the same page in that I wouldn't just tell anybody to watch this. And if anybody has looked at it, if you found it interesting... stick with it, and I think you will be rewarded. But if you
get past the 40-minute mark,
well, there it is. Are you okay with not much happening for 40 minutes? Now, when we say not much happening, this is not Stalker levels of slow, but
no, they are setting him up. They are giving you his personality and showing you what's going on. What? His dreams are important.
Here's the thing I'm curious about. I should have done this before. Let me see something.
What's that?
I didn't watch the trailer for this. I'm curious. Okay, here's the trailer. I'm just going to watch the trailer.
Well, how do they try?
Well, that's exactly what I'm watching it now to see what the trailer is selling. Right? Okay, so it's just him sitting there with the dog. He's typing. Okay, was it Sundance? That'll put some people off right away. Playing with the dog, running around with the dog.
Not Sundance, no.
Okay, he's reading about the game. This is 20 seconds into a minute 50. Okay, he's booting the game up. Okay, now it's got pull quotes. Okay, he's starting the game up. See, this is already way into the movie. Seeing the skull face. All right, now we're seeing glowing. Oh yeah, see, this is making it seem like the thing shows up right away, and that's the problem. Is okay? Here, everybody. Here's the easy way for me to tell you whether you're into this movie or not. Watch the trailer. If you're okay with the first 20 seconds of the trailer being the first 40 minutes of the film, go for it. Because the rest of it is all the shit in the game, and that's not till 40 minutes plus. Yeah. So watching this, if you were to go by the trailer's content, The trailer is indicating that most of this movie is the game, which is not correct. It is not correct. So that's what I was afraid of. Most of this is selling many of the visuals you see.
Yeah, but you know what? And that's the thing. They always do.
No, I
They always
know,
try
but if the trailer had mostly been him sitting there showing his routine, and at the very end, you see the demon reach out, and then it cuts, better. Because now you have a good representation of the movie's kind of balance. But the fact that so much of the trailer is the weird shit, you're going to be expecting that sooner. We're not saying this is bad. It's just what it is.
No, that's my biggest problem with the movie. It's just that at the 40-minute mark is when things get good, and it's not that the first 40 minutes are bad. They set up the character for longer than I feel like they should have. I feel like they could have done it in 30, but maybe, like you said, the worry was that they couldn't fit they couldn't fill the other 10 minutes with weird, fantasy shit.
Yeah, and I think. I'm looking at Sundance right now to see how long the movies have to be. So Sundance requires 50 minutes or more, but that's Sundance. That's not a theater. And I think that's the other problem is you have to get, I think you can actually do a theatrical. I don't know. I haven't checked this in a while. I think an hour 20 is acceptable, but I don't know how many theaters even allow such a thing. So if you're going into a festival hoping that you'll sell it to a distributor who will put it into theaters, you're aiming for 90 minutes, 90 to 120 is what you're going for. Hour and a half to 2 hours. You don't go outside of that unless you're a name. And then you can manage it. But beyond that, you're aiming for that magic. Realistically, 90 to 145 is really what you want. You want 90 minutes to an hour and 45. So hour and a half to hour and 45, and you're pretty much in the golden zone as far as getting a distributor to pick it up. Because there's still good turnaround. It's not going to be a long film. You can sell it. You can cut the trailer really well. So again, my simplest suggestion for anybody who's on the fence, watch the trailer and imagine that the first 20 seconds is the first 40 minutes. As long as you are okay with that being the setup, and then everything after is the last 40 minutes, 50 minutes or so, you'll be fine.
When does the printer go off? Is the printer go off at the...
It was right around, I think, 40 minutes, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I'd have to double check. But I think it was, because I remember you had said, because when the printer went off, I think that's when you said, okay, something's finally happening here. And I think it was around, I'd have to check. But regardless, I agree with you that there is a long span of time that is just set up. And I also agree that you probably understand as much as you could set this character up top to bottom in 15 minutes. In a different movie, you would only need 15 to 20 minutes to understand everything you need to know about this character. And this movie spends almost double that.
Well, Jesus, he sings the entirety of Cars.
Right. But again, you could cut a lot of that down to 15 minutes. You could show this guy's a day in the life of this person in 15 to 20 minutes. You could probably repeat his pattern 3 times so you understand this is his daily routine. First day, watching him work. Second day, she brings the groceries and he talks to her through the door. Third day, he sings, goes to bed. Fourth day, the game shows up. Bang, 20 minutes. And now shit starts to happen. That would be a more efficient film. But then, and this is what I mean about budget, you still have to have 90 minutes. So now you have to do another 20 of effects or something where he's in the fields or whatever.
You should ask Len to see this and what his.
I'm gonna tell Len to take the time to see this. I don't know if he's much into sci-fi fantasy stuff as we are, but I'll say, hey, this is a micro budget feature, writer, director, star. Watch this, and if you want to talk about it, we can. Because I think knowing it's micro budget, he would be interested to see what was done because I think it is well done.
Honestly, martial arts would have saved this movie because if he had to do all kinds of
could you imagine Kung Fu Skeletons?
Yeah,
that would have been great if he's kicking pieces of them off, like he kicks the arm and it flies off. But see, that's where with more budget, would they have done more of that stuff? Probably. They just couldn't do it. So you work with what you got, and I think it works with what this movie's trying to do. So I think that's, like you were talking about wanting to see more of these people's output. they clearly had an understanding of the limitations, and they didn't try to exceed them in a way that made it really obvious. They were like, okay, this is what we can do.
They did what they did what they could, and they did it.
Yeah, because I didn't go back and check, but my impression was when the skeletons are walking towards them that it's people in black wearing the bones glued to them.
On top of it's black.
But it's mostly headlights in blackness, in darkness, so you don't really see it unless you look really down at the feet. So it's fine.
Yeah,
it works.
I mean, this is like directors that make sure that their monsters are CG monsters in a dark room.
Yeah,
because they'll get away with it.
Or this is the first Evil Dead type shit where you're like, okay, we're just gonna make do, man. We're gonna put a camera on a plank of wood and shove it through a car window, and literally shoot windows out with shotguns and hope nobody gets killed. Because we don't have a way to do pyrotechnics, so we're getting a gun and we're going to blow the window out. That's what they did. No regard to safety. Bruce Campbell did not have a stunt double. He was hurling himself into fucking walls because there was no budget. It was a bunch of, filmmakers out in the woods.
Those are the early days, man.
So in that way, I think it's worth seeing as long as you understand you're going to be waiting a little while for the imaginative stuff to show up, but it is worth seeing. So it was a nice film to roll the dice on, and very, 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 very technically fits into Sleaze April because there was a full frontal nude woman. And man. Yes. Yeah. The full frontal. We get the man spinning around. As a matter of fact, he spins around, so you get front and back, north and south on him before he turns into a skeleton. So. Technically, we saw more of the guy than we did of the woman. So there you go. So actually, on balance,
north and south.
Get north and south. Got to see both poles, innie and outie. So on that note, everybody, both movies worth seeing. Both very, very different, and yet funny bits of overlap. So on that note, the sleaze will continue. As a bit of a hint, we're going to be doing 3 Andy Sidaris films, and if you've ever seen any of his movies, you know what that means. So we're going to be doing the Magic Trilogy from the 9-film set my wife got me. We're only doing 3, because I think after the Magic 3, the quality kind of Resident Evil's right off. But those will be coming, so we will review those for the next show, and there'll be a lot of nudity and RC vehicles. And... yeah, so there's your tease.
And adventure.
A lot of Hawaii, too. If you like Hawaii, you're going to see an awful lot of it because these were all ways for this man to film nude women in Hawaii. So good for him. Once again, I celebrate any director who can take their particular kinks and make a goddamn career out of them. On that note...
do what you love.
Do what you love. There you go. So whatever you do this weekend, do what you love, and we'll talk to you again next week. Visit OzoneNightmare.com to subscribe to new episodes, browse through our back catalog, or to find links to support the show. Follow @OzoneNightmare on Twitter for the latest episode postings and other show information. If 280 characters just isn't enough, you can always email us, theozonenightmare@gmail.com. The opening theme for the show is provided by Heartbeat Hero. The closing theme is provided by Ogre. Please visit and support these artists using the links in the show notes for each episode.